Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Flank. I'm joined by the one and only the Human Turret, MVP, one of the best ARs in the game. Give it up for Sam LaRue, a.k.a. Octane. We got another world champion, a great analytical mind, Christopher Duarte, a.k.a. Parasite. Of course, we got the multi-world champion, a legend and icon to the Call of Duty space, Mr. Patrick Price, a.k.a. Iggs, and of course, the one and only, the executive producer, Mr. Benji Nassim. Guys, what's going on, man? Long time, man. It's been, how long has it been since we got back in here? What the hell's going on? It's a long break, another long break, 3-4 weeks.
Like a month.
Yeah,
Close to a month.
It was pretty much a month, to be honest with you. How you guys been, man? Pat, what's going on? How's work? How's X-Defiant? How's all that stuff going?
Been good. Lot going on behind the scenes, Tom. Getting everything ready. But everything's been good. Obviously, had I think for me, I had 10 days off total, like all the holiday breaks. So that was nice. But yeah, back in action, 2024. Back with the flank, and hoping to make it a good year.
Yes, sir, man. I love that. Chris, how you been, man?
I've been great. Just grinding still, waiting for that rank play to drop. We finally got an announcement, so gonna have some fun there. Back with that sort of content. I know Sam's is definitely excited for that as well. I think he's been grinding Warzone and
So am
Wages with
I.
Colt,
I'm really
so
excited for that.
yeah, we're all excited. Other than that, just grind the gym, pretty much going like 6-7 days a week.
Hell yeah.
But I've been seeing a lot of progress. I feel really good, man. Unless you've been there, you would know. Once you get in that consistency, it just feels natural.
That's awesome,
Awesome.
dude. Yeah, no, definitely keep at that. I mean, you're motivating me, bro. I should be going to the gym every day and trying to put that into my schedule. So, it's good for you, bro. It's really good for you. I'm happy for you.
it.
Keep at that for sure.
Thank you.
Sam, how you doing, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, dude. Been playing tournaments, wagers, Warzone, everything.
Yeah, you've been doing
Just
everything.
all COD.
Yeah, no, it's kind of what I've been doing too. I think Wage has been my go-to. 24-hour, by the way, on rank play on the 17th. That's when rank drops. I think, Sam, you said you're
I'm
doing
along for that.
24-hour. Chris, I don't know if you're up for it.
24 hours
All right,
well,
bet.
bro.
And we'll all be up. 24. Ben, Pat, 24 hours? You
I'll
guys
be
are-
sleeping. I'll be
As long as I can
sleeping.
make it.
Yo, Pat, you want to rip a
Yeah, there you go.
24-hour ranked with us?
I don't. For me, Sam, unfortunately, I just don't get the dopamine that I used to playing ranked. I've
listen,
taken my talents to other things.
I mean, I think the real answer is he's chasing the answer to when is X-Defiant coming out. So
yeah,
That's fair.
we're still waiting on X to find, but
I mean,
want
a lot
to-
of dope is needed. I understand.
I want to move the conversation before we start talking about the matches today. Just want to tell everybody a little bit about what's going on. Ben, you want to take the floor on this one? Because I feel like I'm all, you know what I'm saying? Ben, you want to take the
Yeah.
floor on this one? Go ahead, man. What's
So
going on, Ben?
Another classic day of situation because so Tom and I we were watch partying around 6 p.m. today East Coast time. We get an email from the league and they're like, "Hey, sending over this request from YouTube. When you guys show gameplay clips on the flank, those clips can be no longer than 2 minutes. Apparently YouTube is not a fan of us just having one scene just jog in the VOD for 2 hours. So I got on the phone with someone from Activision. They were like, "Yeah, this is a little bit ambiguous. Let's come with some questions and send it over." So we're working through that, but you might see the show format and how we handle all the templates and switching scenes might be a little bit different going forward because we're trying to navigate, unfortunately, some change in policy from YouTube from what we were told about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and as much as I would like to jog through the VOD like we normally do, I don't want to take the risk of doing that today. Obviously, I don't want to get any strikes or anything on my channel, so no gameplay today other than maybe just a few clips from a few moments I'm going to try and find that I wrote down that we can talk about. Obviously, we're still going to talk about the matches, give our thoughts, our opinions, show the stat sheets and everything like that, and still go through them one by one. We also got Adam Apicella, who's going to be joining us as well. So huge shout out to Adam. We got to talk about some of this Challenger stuff going on. You guys want to save that conversation for when Adam comes? I think it'll be before we even get into the Challengers bullshit, because there's a lot to talk about with Challengers.
might be a
we talk about the
long-winded one.
matches because the Challengers thing. You pointed this earlier when we were doing the watch party. The Challengers thing might be a. I mean, bro, that could be a 2-hour conversation.
be a rant.
Knowing this group, we could get absolutely lost on the map with that shit. So Let's dive in.
Yeah, let's dive right into it. Let's go into the first match of the day. We had Atlanta FaZe going up against the Los Angeles Gorillas. This one was actually a 3-0 in favor of Atlanta FaZe. I think a lot of people called it 3-0. But to be honest, some of these maps are pretty close. I didn't think LAG played that bad today. I don't think it's as bad as the score sheet is going to show. But let's start off with the vetoes and the map set. Did you guys see anything that caught your eye here? Anything you wanted to talk about with the veto system or not?
Just the trend. Atlanta FaZe hates terminal. They're going to continue to keep vetoing that. Seems like they're pretty adamant about not playing it. That's actually a map that might be susceptible to being removed in the future.
Yeah.
To my knowledge. So yeah, they refuse to play it. They played a little bit of a LAG's strongest map, and there was questions on whether some of these teams that were good at certain maps were going to be able to keep up that same energy come new spawns, because we did get to debut those new spawns here. And yeah, LAG still looked really good on it. I honestly think they threw this map away.
I agree.
Yeah, talk about the new spawns a little bit, Chris. Do you think it's changing the map a lot? I mean, from what I've seen, it's definitely slowed it down a little bit. I know teams are spawning farther out, so it's easier to hold some of these hills. Do you think some of these spawn changes have been a positive impact for the game, or you think it's been a negative impact? What do you think?
I think it's been a little bit of both. I think there's certain hills that definitely got better and a little bit more consistent in terms of like where people could be, and then there's other hills that are just counterintuitive into the way that people play, where you get a lot of split spawns. P2 Invasion is one that comes to mind, where people are constantly spawning on each other in the palace, while people are, doing fuck all over there, like towards blue, just blocking a spawn and making things chaotic. So a little bit of give and take. Obviously, we still have potential hill changes coming, and even more spawn tuning probably in the future. So we'll see if things get better, but I think they have the right idea. It's just hard with these maps, man. The maps just are not made for hardpoint, I think, and they're trying to make do with what we got right now.
Well, that's why I think they should add more maps. I mean, I feel like now, like a lot of people are ragging on the pros, but to be fair, they can't add any new maps till after Major 1, right? But after Major 1, I'm hoping that the pros start trying out some of these other maps. I know you were talking about Rio before. Rio's coming in. I know Greece is another one that's in there. I like Greece. Some people like it or don't like it. I really don't know. But one thing I do know is the pros haven't tried it, and they haven't experimented with it. So I just hope to see some experimentation here after Major 1. I don't know how you guys feel about the map set right now, but I think the map set right now is kind of hard to watch, bro. Especially with Invasion Control, like Control as well, just not playing how it should be playing, in my opinion. Especially since a lot of teams are just trying to play Invasion, it seems like. It seems like a lot of people are just settling for that. High-rise Control, kind of fluky, right? Heavy on the spawn traps. You can easily get caught, and there's just a lot of explosions, a lot of randomness.
I was told that they're trying to come out with maps that are quote-unquote competitive. As to whether they will be good or not, we won't know. But Rio, at least minimap-wise, that they've shown us, it looks pretty promising. It kind of looks like Arsenal in terms of layout. It's probably a little bit smaller than that. But I mean, we'll see. They're trying. I think Greece and Rio are pretty decent maps, if being new maps, because I feel like that's something that the developers have struggled, is making new maps that are good.
Yeah.
And those seem pretty decent, promising. Hopefully, in the future, we pretty much get the Cold War treatment, where a lot of the initial maps get replaced, because at least from the hardpoint map perspective, they're not very good. While I still think that S&D in this game with these maps is good, but that's how it's always been back in Modern Warfare 2. Search and Destroy was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, Sam, we got a chance to see FaZe going up against LAG today. How did you think FaZe looked? How did you think LAG looked? How did you think the series went overall, like as a whole? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think LAG actually played well. There was a few like pivotal moments. The P2 to P3 first map, second rotation, for example. That was a situation where LAG actually could have just closed the game. But FaZe broke a P3, and then there was I think it was round 5, maybe. Was it round 5 when Fame didn't stack the point on A
I was
on
gonna
Invasion?
pull that up. We'll pull it up.
Yeah, there was just a couple moments where LAG really could have just taken the game, to be honest with you, if they had made their correct play. But FaZe capitalized. I like it was a little bit of a heat check on the veto. I'm usually against playing the weaker team's best map, because that's their best chance to beat you. But FaZe just refuses to play terminal, so I respect the ego chow in the hardpoint category for sure.
Yeah. Before we go to Ben and Pat, let's tune into this quick clip. Hopefully, this is under a minute and 20 seconds. Right here, take a look at these spawns. These are new spawns here on Subbase. This is the first map with FaZe LAG. I thought this was just really weird, bro. Look at where Assault spawns here. boom, right behind him on this street. He just spawns on a free pinch and he just get free kills here. I mean, shouldn't he not spawn in the back there? Why did he spawn there? And that's new. That is definitely new right there. That's got
Bro,
I don't think I've seen that.
That's even new to me, and like I play a lot
I've
of
never
BPL,
seen this
and,
one. I
like,
can't lie.
Most of
I've
the
never
time,
seen this one.
most of the time, the way these spawns will work,
Wait, what
is
is
like
that?
the guy will spawn in P5 or like right behind it, even if they are getting that parallel. But the fact that he spawned on that like long dock is fucking insane. I've actually never seen that before.
And another thing I noticed about this P3 hill is like, how do you really pinch this hill? Right? Like, if people are just hard playing the back and shit, it's how do you spawn people out on this hill? Like, how do you play this? What's the best way to play this?
The best way to play this is you just keep pressuring P2 and you play to deny time. That's literally what most people do. You try to get through the P2 and shoot the guy on the side of the hill, and then like try to like weasel your way through like maze and top P3. So
Yeah.
the fact that they're going water, I don't remember how this clip plays out, but I can't imagine this boded well for them. They probably just got farmed, especially with that guy spawn behind them. But yeah, you play P2, you play to deny hill. That's how you play this shit.
Yeah.
So Adam Assault's in the chat. I was about to say, and he responded. He said, "I was mind blown watching it back that they were all there."
Yeah, no, it's insane. I mean, he had a free 2-piece if he just hit down the street, but very interesting spawns. Yes, sir,
but I was
Pat.
just
Be careful, Tom. We're coming up on a minute 20.
Yeah, I had it. Let me switch screens, Pat. Let me switch
But I was
screens.
gonna say, like, I guess the only other way to real pinch it is like we saw FaZe. I think a big momentum swing in that map was actually the next P3, where
the P2,
FaZe got
P3.
broken at the end of P2, and they came off of like the P5 spawns, and they tossed nades over, killed the guy in hill, and then got the next 3 kills. So they actually brought LG down 4 dead, and then actually flipped the spawns. I ended up actually, it would have been a situation where I think LG would have been on like 190, 130, and probably closed the map out instead. It being a tie game going to a P4, and then obviously FaZe closed over the next couple of hills.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about LAG as a whole, Ben? I think they're looking pretty good. I feel like they're showing some promising. They've had promising moments and they've had close matches. I don't think they're getting blown out as a lot of people thought they were gonna get blown out. You know, I think they're surprising some people. They're still not looking too hot though in terms of record and shit like that. You know, they didn't get a win today, but
I think LAG have been in a couple of series. This one, the New York one especially, where they had respawns that I think that they could have put away, and they made a couple of plays that prevent them from doing so, which I think is in a better spot than say, Carolina or Minnesota or Vegas, where they're just not even in a position to close out these maps. At least LAG.
Well, I wouldn't argue Vegas, but the other two for sure.
Yeah. Well, true, because Vegas is kind of that promise. Well, good point.
But the other two,
I forgot about that, but it's been excuse me, it's been a long break. But I would say that bodes well for LAG going forward. I think they've got some strong maps compared to some of the teams I named. Your point about Subbase, they have played 2 teams that I think are particularly good at Subbase and lost those to Toronto and FaZe, who I think will probably be solid on that map. But they beat Thieves in New York on it. So I think they've got that. They've got High Rise Control they looked solid at before the break. High Rise S&D they looked good. I think LAG has a couple of like really good anchor maps in each mode, and the others might maybe get vetoed, maybe they don't. But I think that might help LAG to like a higher ceiling than some of the teams that are kind of chalked at the bottom.
Yeah.
What is their record now after losing the FaZe?
1-4, I think.
They beat LAT
One-
3-0, and they're 1-4.
1-3, but
One
they
and
have,
three. Okay, 1-3.
they have Boston, Minnesota, and Miami coming up. So I could see a world in which they win.
This
two of
is
those.
where they have to like turn it around.
Yeah.
Just knowing the guys in the camp, obviously good friends with a couple guys on there. Like just talking to them, they don't really seem down on their losses. I think they're pretty much, they understand like the competition that they're up against, these first couple games. And they're kind of, I guess, just more so looking forward to like playing the weaker teams because they seem like they're very confident and they know that they're better than people kind of rate them. They just have to obviously show up and execute for these next couple games, which is, I think, really going to be the test for them because although they haven't been able to string together any wins against these top teams, like just looking at like their gameplay against the better teams, I feel like they should win these matches.
They're putting themselves in positions to win for sure.
Like they should win these next couple matches coming up.
yeah, they have good matchups. I mean, those are matches that that's where they're gonna have to get their wins. I mean, they're not gonna. It's gonna be hard for them to take down these top teams. But let's switch on over to another clip. This was in the control. This was the overtime. This is what Sam was talking about. This was a big moment for LAG because I thought they could have got this here. DiamondCon makes a great play. He gets pushed up to the front here, and he's able to find a gap, and he just reads Simp here. He picks up a big 2-piece. And then he's able to stay alive here. But LAG, they kind of toss. I mean, DiamondCon pops a 3-piece. Escher will 1, it's a 4 dead. This is where we just wanted to see some stacks from LAG. I mean, we were talking about it a little bit during the watch party. I don't mind Fame playing a wave here, but boom, as soon as 2 kills go down here, that's 3. I don't even know what Fame's looking at here. You know, like Fame 100% needs to try and get over here and try and get onto that point. This is over if he's stacking that point. I mean, this is done with. They wouldn't even have had time. Just the amount of waves and the amount of kills that they got, and they still didn't cap the point, I think was a huge mistake out of LAG. I think that's arguably they probably could have made a run for a reverse sweep if they stacked the point there and brought it to a 4th map.
I think
Draws slides in and gets a 2-piece of pistol. I would say, yeah, Fame probably should have stacked, but like at minimum, if he actually killed anyone crossing.
Turn the clip off, Tom. Turn the clip off.
Get back down, like, you know.
I think what's very
go ahead,
unfortunate about
Chris.
that situation was both trophy players on their team. I'm pretty sure both Adam and Diamond run both. Got to that point, they didn't have one. And unfortunately, when they are about to cap it, a stun comes in, it throws off their entire play. One of them, like you saw the guy get caught on that slide while stunned. And I think if Fame just kills Draza, I mean, the game's over. Like either way, even if he could have stacked, like if he hit those shots and killed Zach, the game's over. So
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, it's definitely on Fame there. Regardless if he stacked, he just had to heal. That guy needed to die.
Yep, this ended up being a 3-0 in favor of Atlanta FaZe. Let's swap on over. Oops, wrong scene, sorry. Let's swap on over and take a look here at the stats. 0.69 from Fame, not the best series from him. Over on the other side for Atlanta FaZe, I mean, everybody just pulling weight. I mean, 13,000 damage from Simp. We've talked about this guy. He has been insane this year.
Yeah.
Just the plays that he's been making.
He's the MVP year for this kid.
100%. I mean, I definitely think he's been the guy to talk to. I mean, Pat, looking at the stats and looking after the result today, I mean, what are your immediate thoughts with LAG and with Atlanta FaZe? What are your thoughts, man?
Well, Tom, I don't like looking at the stats, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I had a little prize picks
Here we
on the
go.
line
Did you
here,
use
Tom. and
referral code ZooMaa or no?
I didn't, Tom. I did not, fortunately.
Man.
But I mean, I took Estriel, Tom,
Yeah.
and I should have took Fame. I took Estriel under, and I should have took Fame.
Damn.
I don't know what I had both. At first I did both, but I didn't know you couldn't pick 2 people from the same team. So yeah, I should have took Fame. That pissed me off.
That's tough,
Chalked the whole thing because I had a 4 entry, but
Yeah, I saw your picture. You put in the DM. I seen that.
yeah. But yeah, Simp is gross. I think we all knew it. I mean, I feel, damn, I don't know. I don't remember if you were on the side of like, I
you bring
remember
up the
Ben
flex thing?
wasn't. Yeah, the flex
No,
thing.
I hated that.
He should have
I
always
hated
done
that.
it. He should have always done
I
it. In
hated
Vanguard,
that.
he should have done it. I'm telling you.
No, I hated that.
Pat,
He's
are you
just
saying
that
that
guy
because
with
of the
either
stat
gun.
you saw with how he
A
runs
high
the
impact sub
MCW?
is so much
Yeah.
more valuable, bro.
No,
'Cause
for sure, it's more
he runs
valuable,
what? He
but
runs the AR
he could do either
47%
Oh,
way.
he
of
runs,
the
he
time.
runs basically a full-time AR for these guys now.
That's
Yeah.
just the game, dude. Honestly.
Yeah.
But I was saying they should have when they were talking about that roster change, like before we knew they were getting Draza, like
Yeah.
if they would have just got another sub, just let Simp do his thing with a flex, it would have worked out. It would have worked out.
dangerous
In
thing now
hindsight,
is-
it would have worked for this game.
Oh, there's no
But-
hindsight.
but
There's no
Pat, what about
hindsight.
LAG,
when you're right,
man?
when you're right early, there's no hindsight.
Has
dangerous-
LAG looked better than you expected, Pat, or no? They're still not even
Yes
impressing
and
you.
no. I mean, I feel like they look better in terms of like they're not getting mollywopped in kills like some of these other teams, like we'll see in a minute. They're at least hanging around in the slaying category, but they still have the same issues that we typically talk about with these bottom tier teams, where like they fail to close easy scenarios. It's kind of like they can hang around, but the better team will always close them out.
I'm not trying to point out the stats, but like Fame's had like 3 very bad series in terms of the stats. I think from the damage perspective, he contributed a lot there. He just couldn't finish his kills. But I mean, he's clearly like they're the inconsistent player on their team. And whenever he plays well, they looked really good in the series that they won last week or last time we watched him play. And whenever they're he's struggling, they still manage to find being competitive, but like they just can't close. And I feel like he's definitely their X factor, and he can just play more consistently. These guys are going to be in a good spot.
Can I make a hot take?
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Because it's not a hot take that Diamond Con's play good this year, correct? That's not
He's
a hot
been
take?
like very
Like the
good
best
this year.
player, no?
He's been
No,
very good.
The hot take is
He's been great.
Like in retrospect, I maybe LAG should have squad wiped and ran the academy roster back last year and given Connor a chance. Like he has come in and played really well. He's been impactful across all game modes this year, especially in S&D. He's been like double digits. I think he's someone that we're not talking enough about as far as his contribution I know LG hasn't been super successful, but I think individually he's played really well.
They've squad wiped every year, Ben.
I think Connor was the MVP of the Challengers Open win that they had at Raleigh before they, brought on the rest of the team. And I think the reason he wasn't even brought on was simply because of the visa thing, like having to spend extra money. I doubt these orgs wanted to do that. He's kind of just been screwed over by that fact for a while when it comes to getting on some of these teams. And also, he was kind of a known quantity to some people. Obviously, he was on that New York roster in Cold War, and although he did pretty good with the M4. Obviously, he kind of just fell off the face of the earth after he went back to Challengers. But I vouch highly for the guy, man. The guy's been very good at every game, at least in the Challenger portion. He's also not a tweaker. Like when it comes to like some of these other younger players, he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's playing really well.
Is he an early game merchant though? How does he look? Like we obviously know he starts off really strong, but like how does he fare in the middle of the season and the end of the season?
I think he's good.
It has to be determined, right?
But like, how did he do? I'm saying, how did he do in Challengers though? Like, did he fall off? Like, obviously he was in the Pro League, got dropped, back to Challengers. Like
in Cold War, he was really good. Towards the end of the year on that Team Canada roster, and then on the other couple years, I have really no idea. I can't even remember the teams he was on, but he was good.
There's been a lot of movement. I've been watching a lot of Challengers recently because we got the FaZe Black team in there now, so we've been watching them. Who they've been playing really well. Chris, what do you think about FaZe Black? You think they've been playing well or what?
Yeah, they're gross. Honestly, bro, like no glaze. I know a lot of people like to say that we glaze ASIM on the flank, but ASIM is good, man.
No, they say no. They say I glaze ASIM. They say I glaze ASIM.
I just I'm a big fan of like ASIM's comms. Like ASIM actually has really good communication. I feel like he actually just is a very like selfless player, and he's always kind of like thinking ahead in how to win a map, regardless of like kills, deaths. Like he's always just he's a veteran, bro. I feel like his career would have been so much better, or it still could be yet to be better if he was just surrounded by like more talented players, because I feel like he's an enabler. Like when he plays the game, he makes every single player around him better. And I'm no glazing. I can tell.
I like that he's got his stream up too. You guys, you know, people can watch for themselves. You know, they can just go watch.
Except when they play Optic, Tom.
Yes, Optic did. I don't think it was that big of a deal if Optic didn't want to, if they didn't want their streams or their scrims streamed. What match is coming back up this weekend? I feel like me personally though, if they're playing like a Challengers team, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like for one set, like I even said it to Taysom, like damn, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But like if they don't want to do it, like don't need to hold it against them. It's not that big of a deal. But it would have been fun to watch. Would have been fun to watch the Optic boys scrim the FaZe Black guys. But they've been playing really well, man. It's been fun watching Challengers. There's a lot of talent down there, bro. I was talking to Asim. Definitely a lot of people down there that are turning heads, and the FaZe Black guys have been going crazy. So shout out to them.
I think Kremp also, by the way, is really, really good.
Yeah,
like
he
from
is.
a talent perspective. Like, I mean, he had those stints in the league last year where he had like some takeover maps. He's very streaky, but I think he's got a lot of maturing to do as a player. And I feel like playing with people like Brack and Asim is probably going to help him. And he's been doing good. He's been doing his thing too. So
all of them, bro. Brack, Exceed,
Kremp as well.
All those guys, man.
I'm just highlighting a couple people,
Let's move on to the next series. Unless you guys have anything else to say about Atlanta FaZe or LAG. It was a comfortable 3-0 from Atlanta FaZe. Obviously some close maps, but maybe some mistakes. I think the control mistake was pretty big, but other than that, I mean, nothing too serious that I have here. But anybody else got anything?
With the stats?
Yeah, we're gonna start with the vetoes, and then we're gonna go into this. We're gonna go straight to the stats. We'll go straight into the stats sheet.
Pat got more prize picks.
Yeah, Pat does have more prize. Speaking of prize picks, guys, referral code ZooMaa if you use referral code ZooMaa when you sign up, they'll match whatever you put in up to $100. So use referral code ZooMaa and go sign up on prizepicks.com. Phenomenal. That's what I'm talking about. Let's switch it over. Let's go over to the next series of the day. We have Toronto Ultra going up against Seattle Surge. We got Invasion Hardpoint, Karachi, Search, Invasion Control. Once again, I hate that map. Subbase Hardpoint and Invasion S&D. Invasion. I see this map when I sleep. Guys, anything on the vetoes? Anything that you guys see? Anything that caught your eye? Toronto with a pretty easy 3-0 here. I'm going to be honest
terminal
here.
veto.
Atlanta FaZe LAG felt pretty close. This series didn't feel close. I felt like Toronto just absolutely mollywopped these guys. Go ahead, Benjay.
The double terminal. So we're see this probably a lot for teams playing Seattle. We know that they played a lot of terminal the first week of the season. They were very successful on that map. And then teams basically since then, when they played FaZe Optic Toronto, for the most part, have been like, we're just not going to play you guys on either of those maps. I know that I think Terminal Hardpoint made it in the Optic series, but for FaZe in Toronto, they didn't want to mess it. They said, look, beat us on Invasion, beat us on Karachi. And we've seen that Seattle is not as good at Invasion as they are, say, Terminal. So I thought this map set, when I saw it, was a massive W for Toronto, the set they got.
Yeah,
Honestly, I called this after their first split, and I said, I mean, we have a couple more matches, but I mean, maybe I'm a little bit early on this, but I think Seattle is not going to be as good as people perceive them to be off of the first couple matches. I said they got Terminal a lot. We see that go away, and on top of that, them being a strictly S&D team, you're going to see teams kind of study them and catch up to them in that nature. And you watched the S&D today versus Toronto.
This is the fastest S&D I've ever seen.
yeah,
It was actually gross.
Damn.
6-0. So yeah, it was bad. It was bad, guys. Got the red carpet on one side and a green carpet on the other. I mean, it's just not looking good. It's just not looking good here.
Drop Envoy, bro.
Bro, I took Kleenex over 54, but the series was over so fast.
You got hooked because they fucking
I was
you,
trolling.
Bro,
He actually did.
Like, I was hoping this was gonna be a good series, and like the maps would at least go to distance, but they just had their absolute way with them.
Damn,
Well,
son.
I will
Damn.
say Kyler has a 0.9 here. I felt like other than the last map,
Probably played a good series today.
Kyler was playing pretty good in this
It's
series.
pretty good
but
damage as well.
Kyler played a good
They
series.
they got mostly nothing from their ARs throughout the series. Abuza obviously did not.
I took
have
Alec under two.
a great one. I mean, we need to discuss like going into the series. There was some drama in the
I
last
fucking
week or
love
Was
so.
Oh,
But
Abuza, yeah.
Yeah, because we had Tom. You were streaming one day. I think it was one of the like FaZe Friday tournaments or was a challenge tournament. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Scout comes in. He say we got clips. It turns out Abuza might have been using or was using single tap sprint, which is G8 in the FaZe match, and we don't know if Seattle. Do we know if Seattle didn't get a warm up for this?
Wait.
Like, do we know where that netted?
Wait. Ben, what's
Yeah.
the temperature like in Vancouver right
I
now?
don't know.
Is it a little
Oh,
chilly? A
over
little
there.
chilly up there, maybe,
Let's-
because it's
let's
now
take a look.
January. It
It's
might
that
be a little
Arctic
chilly.
blast is going on right now, Pat.
15 degrees
Yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's the
Ben,
Arctic blast going right now,
that,
Pat.
that could be
Wonder.
it, Ben. That could be it.
Yeah, I gotta think.
Seattle Surge is getting Arctic blasted right now,
They have an
Pat.
Arctic outflow warning in Vancouver right now.
There you go.
Arctic. I've never heard that Arctic outflow.
So
What the
okay,
fuck?
I
Yeah,
heard
they
that
got
there was a
outflowed on by
punishment
the
though.
Toronto Ultra, bro.
I heard they
They got
found a
blown up
punishment
warning
for
as well.
Abuza. Did they find a punishment for him or what?
No, I
I
haven't
think
heard.
they
That's
lost
what
the
I'm
weakest
asking.
scrims, right? Is that what I heard?
I heard it was a week of scrims. A week of
Yeah.
scrims, no scrims for a week, and no warm up for the weekend.
That's what I heard as well.
That's what
Yeah.
I heard. But you guys
They
think
got a
that's
record,
you
though.
guys
They got
think
a
that's not
vacation?
enough? Do you guys think that's enough? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think they were talking about, I think Scrappy said it or somebody when I was watching, I think your stream, Tom, where they were like, oh, we got to make the first punishment, like the first enforcement, like,
Like set an example.
yeah, we got to set an example because a lot of people are be like, okay, I'm going to make my first offense here because it's not that big of a deal, but I'm going to win
Right.
100K. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, the people obviously.
Single tap ain't winning you a tournament, little bro.
You know what I mean? People
Nah,
are,
no.
people could be thinking like that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So they got to make that first punishment actually mean something. Otherwise, people are going to be more prone to
Mhm.
making an offense here and there.
Okay. The
Agree.
only argument to that though is couldn't they technically just play the top challenger teams and just scrim them the whole week?
Yeah, I mean,
I
at
mean,
this
yeah, they
point, playing
absolutely could, but
FaZe
it's worse
Black-
practice.
Playing FaZe. Whoa,
Honestly, what I
playing
would
FaZe
tell-
Black might be better than playing Rokkr. Or
That's what I'm
something.
saying. Like,
Honestly,
With the
bro,
exception of FaZe Black, I
how
think
much?
it's probably
How much
worse
of a
practice.
punishment is that? How much of a punishment is
if
that
I was
actually?
the pro teams, I would be like, yo, FaZe Black, right? Like, just make an example. If you scrim this team as well, like, we're not scrimming you, like, type shit.
No way,
We're
FaZe
like,
Black's getting astray.
Yeah, FaZe Black is gonna be
Man,
like,
no
yo, we're
way,
not
Chris.
scrimming-
Come on.
No pro scrims for FaZe Black if they scrim Seattle.
Yeah. But just to talk about the series a little bit, I want to talk about Envoy. I feel like a lot of people were on his head, man. A lot of people
Yup.
were calling out for him. Sam, I'm gonna let you take the floor on this. People
Drop
on
this
Reddit,
motherfucker.
people on Reddit were calling for this guy to be dropped.
Dude, people were flaming Dill for getting shit on in a scrim the
Not
first
just
day
Reddit,
back.
but Twitter, Reddit, Twitch
It was
chats,
bad, bro.
YouTube
People were
chats.
genuinely
People were
like, it wasn't
acting
even like satirical. It was literally like, we need to get rid of this guy. We drop Hixie. Nah, bro. Like, I couldn't believe the shit that I was reading for the last like 2 weeks. I mean, Kleenex had to mention it in the post game interview. For God's sake, he was like, dude, people were flaming Envoy. Like, we don't care about stats, like all this. So, I mean, he destroyed Seattle today. So I'm happy for a bounce back series out of Dill. But some of the shit I was reading was unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely disrespectful, to be honest with you, bro. Toronto looked really good today, man. They looked
did
really,
look good.
they looked really confident and decisive, and they just looked like they had a plan on what to do every single round and every single moment of the map. I just feel like these guys are going to be a really tough team to beat, man.
Look like some 2024 world
There it
champs
is.
to me,
I
Tom.
mean, it's like, you never
Alright,
know,
guys,
man.
maybe
You never
Seattle,
know.
Calm down.
Did you guys see the
fuck?
tier list from the coaches? Did you guys see
Dude,
that by any chance?
Bro,
that
yeah,
was so
I
bad.
had some questions about
It
the
was
coaches
so
poll.
bad.
Yes, a
Yeah,
question.
They had
Ben?
LAG still in D. They had like Rokkr, where was Rokkr like high C Ben or something like that.
The way they ranked,
like-
the top 4 in some order kind of made some sense to me. I don't know why FaZe is in S by themselves, but whatever. Like, but the way that the bottom 6 teams were lined out didn't make much sense to how some of them have beat each other. And I don't know, like it is just it was kind of a little bit of a fucking mess. I don't really know what the coaches were thinking. But I to your earlier point, Chris, Seattle, this Miami-Seattle match tomorrow is now very interesting because the Seattle team was on such a high after week 1. They lost to Optic, lost to FaZe, came back, got slammed by Toronto. They've now proven that they, right now cannot beat 3 of the top 4 teams in the league. And they're going to play next the team that we have put continuously last few weeks in the same tier as them. If they can't beat this team either, they're on a 4-game slide with Rokkr coming up, but basically a must-win to make bracket. Like the Seattle team has quickly swung back towards
Yeah,
your Thieves, your
Seattle
Boston's
is
of the world.
sliding.
Yeah, we can see. We'll see how these teams like progress. At the end of the day, bro, we just had a long break, new spawns. Some of these teams might get better, but I'm willing to bet that a couple of these teams might potentially get worse. And I think on the Seattle side, I think Terminal got worse as a map in general.
Agreed.
And that is a map that they are particularly good at, regardless. Even if they start playing it again against some of these teams, who knows how it's going to play out for them? Because that map is kind of ass now.
We also
Worse
didn't
than it
really
was.
touch on it, but more so about the break. We haven't really said it in like an official capacity, but I cannot believe how much time teams took off.
Great.
Like
A lot of time.
teams took like 3 weeks off, 2.5 weeks off. I think the only teams that I know for a fact took a short amount of time off were LAG and FaZe. I think they both took like
Miami took.
Miami
FaZe
took
was
some-
grinding.
yeah.
FaZe was grinding for
I think
sure.
I think LAG and FaZe both took like 2-3 days off total. Like they were immediately scrimming ASIM's team, like scrimming challenger teams on the new patch pretty immediately, and there were teams that didn't pick up the game until a week ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, there were some obviously international things like you can't really help that, but there's some situations that were unbelievable to me. Like especially when you're on the lower end of the field so far and you're not taking the break as seriously as you should. I couldn't believe that.
For top teams, I think it is situational, right? Toronto usually takes those weeks off every year, and it usually works out well for them, right? Optic, they got Pred. Like I kind of get it.
Yeah, the
But
international stuff makes sense.
But for Carolina, for Vegas, for Minnesota, teams that clearly had shit they had to work on before the break to just not even try to get better and come back, and then you're spending a week trying to learn new spawns, and you're just so far behind, and you have to play these top teams. It doesn't make any sense.
I'm personally not surprised.
I'm not surprised either.
I think I said it in the DM bin, like, no offense, but some of these teams could have played 24/7 over the break every day,
Damn.
and it wouldn't have fixed a thing.
You don't think so,
And-
Pat?
Nah.
Why is that, Pat?
nah.
Why is that? What do you think's wrong with those
Because
teams?
some of them just suck, Tom.
Just
And
a
I
skill
think,
issue? You think it's a
know,
skill issue?
Yeah, and some people just gotta realize, like, you're at a ceiling, and it's time to just figure something else out. And I break, no break, season,
It's more the
Major
thought though,
coming up.
Pat. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like you
for
have
sure.
an opportunity.
Everyone should be
You're
putting in
one of-
effort. Don't get me
You're
wrong.
4 of 48. You know what I mean? Like
I'm just keeping
there
it
should be
realistic.
some sort of initiative there.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with what you're saying from the initiative standpoint. Like, you gotta take initiative and put effort in for
Yeah.
the fact that you're a professional. But I mean, we're getting
The
to the
bare
point
fucking
where it's like, damn, some of these people should not be labeled professional. And I think that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah. And this is the coaches' power rankings here that you see on the screen. So they had Toronto, New York, and Optic in that order in the A tier. Not sure if order matter. Does order matter?
I don't think these are ordered.
No,
it's just
they
tiers.
are ordered.
They are ordered. Oh, we're
But
smoking
all
dope.
teams are ranked 1 through 12. So
We're smoking dope.
Okay.
Well,
so
we
they
got
are
12th right.
Hey, wake up.
Yeah.
Fools are just hating at this point on
Yeah.
LAG,
No.
bro. Like,
I don't. Yeah.
D?
I mean,
What?
even
Bro, I watch some of these teams. Literally, they can't even get a fucking point on FaZe or like some of the top teams. Like, and they're rating LAG a D.
well, like
man.
LAG. This is why I don't understand. Like, didn't LAG beat Thieves? How are
3-0.
How they 3-0'd them? How they 3 teams below them?
well,
If
this
this-
is entirely
hold
based
on.
on scrims.
Yeah, if this wasn't ranked 1 through 12, right? If it was just tiers, I mean, I could see a world where you swap LAG and Rokkr, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, Did you guys, if it's not ranked, right? It's just you're strictly tier based. Would you guys agree with that? If
It'd
we
be
just
pretty- it'd
swap
be pretty
Rokkr,
close.
I think I
like-
have an issue more
It's
so with the
pretty close.
rankings than the tiers.
yeah,
for
that's
sure.
fair.
It'd be
If it's in
close.
order, I don't agree. But if it's just within the actual tiers, there I'd make like maybe 2 changes.
But getting back to the Seattle thing, like Seattle loses to Miami, like this week, like what happens to Seattle now in this coaches poll? Because they will have been gone 0 for 4 against 4 of the top 5 teams. Like they're clearly not in the tier of those squads. Where do you rank them relative to Steves and Boston?
LAG could beat Boston fucking in their next match, and they might still put LAG at D. The
I don't
poach's coal is cooked.
I mean, they played a strong Toronto today, man. I mean, Toronto looked
Yeah.
good. It could have just been a day for. It could have just been one of those days for Seattle. I mean, even talking to people think Seattle's a good team, bro. Even talking to some people behind the scene, like scrimming them and stuff like that. I don't. To be fair, I haven't talked to anybody recently. But I know there's a lot of people gassing up Seattle, so maybe it was just an off day. I think tomorrow's going to be a tough match though, too, Ben. I think Miami's going to be a tough battle.
But then they're still listen. This is what we
Every
talked about
match
this
is
season.
going to be tough, Ben. Like these teams either can hang in this league or they can't, right? Like it's. Go ahead.
We talked about this over the summer with the Seattle team. We're like looking at the comp of this team. They need to get it going early, which they did, because I struggle to see with this team comp when they go on a slide, aka potentially being 0-4 the last 4 after tomorrow, how they're going to get out of that valley, going into Major 1. Like they just don't look on par with a tier above. And yeah, they can pull a fucking Minnesota. We didn't rate Minnesota Rokkr last year. But the way this stupid format works, sometimes you pull up to the event, you win 2 matches in winners bracket, and you're top 3, and then you scam on Sunday in sub B, you collect the 3rd place check.
A question.
Like go ahead.
What do you guys think of the news with TJ Halley being brought on for the Ravens as a substitute?
Well, I know a lot of people decline that spot because if you really think about it, right, like it's only a temporary spot, and you're filling in for a team that's been, let's be honest, struggling a lot. They've been struggling. They've been having a hard time getting wins. And throwing yourself in that situation for a 14-day, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I really don't know. Kudos to Teej for just taking it and being like, sure, I'll play. But I don't know how this situation is going to end off. It's kind of like it's almost like a high risk, high reward. Like if TJ goes in there and fries and they start winning and they win some matches, like it's a really good look for TJ. But if he goes in there and gets shit on and they lose, everybody's just gonna.
Does he? Does he at least stay on as a sub?
No, I think it's just
No.
a 14 day.
days, they don't have to resign him.
Oh,
Which
geez,
Pat, would you ever leave your top challengers team to go do a 14-day thing with like a team at the bottom of the league right now? Like, do you think that's a smart decision or no? What do you think about that?
I mean, I personally would not do it because the reality here is like he isn't solving the Ravens' problem. He's probably gonna come in and get world starred. It's not gonna be his fault. It's not gonna be anyone's fault. The team just sucks.
Honestly, I don't really rate it too highly, or not rate that too highly, because like for Teej has been an established pro player for a very long time. I think it's a lot more different than, let's say, somebody else as a sub that hasn't had a lot of experience in the league coming in, because then people get that first, taste in their mouth of like a player that they've never seen play against some of these top teams. And
Get there first. What?
What did
dude,
he
shut
say?
up, dude. Shut up.
What?
Let's say a new player that's never been in the league comes in, he gets shit on. It's going to be a lot more different than, let's say, Teej comes in when he's already had some history, right? So I can understand people declining it if they haven't already been in the league before. But Teej, he's already been there, done that. Like at the end of the day, even if he doesn't come,
Who do
comes in and doesn't
they
play the
ask?
best,
Do we know?
no,
They asked a lot of people on FC Black. They asked a couple of different people on some other teams.
Is it just for sorry to cut you, but is it just for this weekend?
From
or like what's
what
like the-
Clay said?
The timeline of it, do you guys know?
Real's very close to getting his visa locked in. They obviously don't want to cancel that, so it sounds like at the moment is just for this match.
Okay, so they play Minnesota on Sunday.
Correct.
They could easily
Which
win that.
Which is a big game. They need to win that.
They could
must-
win that.
They have
With
to win
Teej,
it.
yeah. With
With Teej,
the way-
they could win that.
We're about to talk about Minnesota if we want to get right into it. Like,
Yep,
they
I
don't
already
look
have
good.
it up. Let's go to the next one. We got the Minnesota Rokkr going up against the New York Subliners. You guys can see the vetoes here. And they didn't show the vetoes till the end of the match. So you can see all the results as well. So you can kind of see Minnesota. They got off to a strong start today. Chris, I know you called Terminal Cheese when we were watching. You thought it was just the map. Honestly, Minnesota, they were able to work a few breaks in the first rotation on that terminal, which I think helped them win. But we'll get there. But what do you guys think about the vetoes and a map set and anything that caught your eye or anything you want to talk about here? I'll let you guys have the floor.
I was, You know what? For New York, I'm surprised that they've been sub-based. They must really not play on the map because I would feel like playing Carolina. I'm going to play Carolina or Minnesota rather on sub-base and terminal, but it speaks towards New York's maybe difficulties on the map. They decide to chance it on terminal, but I'm calling terminal cheese, bro. Like saw terminal the rest of the series, I'm like, nah.
Yeah, I'm calling terminal cheese, bro. The map is just every time I see it, I just can't take it serious. I feel like anyone could win it.
The map is dog shit, but we're not going to pretend that Minnesota didn't break like 4 hills in a row to win that.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's not
I mean,
the map.
they played well.
That's New York
They played
being like
well,
not great and
yeah.
Minnesota playing well. I'm not
Yeah,
taking that
played
away from
well.
them.
They played well. I'm not gonna take that away.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
You look at the rest of the series and like.
I mean, yeah, for sure. They got
P5
fucking clapped.
rotations.
Yeah, that's fine. But that
Who
map,
cares?
Minnesota played well. We're not going to sit here and say that.
That map, I
That's
hope
fine.
that map just gets erased.
Yeah, the map's dog shit. I'm not saying it's not, but Minnesota still played it well.
I mean,
But I will say the one more thing, Chris. Sorry, the veto. I like invasion control veto by New York. That says a lot about how they view the game because they want to play the maps that require a decent amount of skill as opposed to just chancing a round 5 defense. So I like that by New York.
As opposed to the way Minnesota, they vetoed Karachi. I feel like Karachi is one of those maps that's like very dynamic in the way you break stuff, and it's you actually have to make like a lot of heads up plays as opposed to like a map like Terminal, which is very straightforward, and Minnesota's vetoing it. So like you can't imagine they like maps where you actually have to use your heads.
What I will say though is because, and Sam, you and I talked about this like last year. I do think New York will probably need to play invasion control at some point online here before the major, because what you don't want is for that first invasion control rep who came from losers bracket and grand finals to be like map 6 in that series.
Yeah.
Like that would be the least ideal situation you could be in as a team.
I think that map requires the least amount of reps, but I do agree that they shouldn't be like first timing it at a major. But I mean, it's not hard to play defense on that map. Let's be honest.
OP, yeah.
All right, so a few things to talk about on the map. One of them is the P3 break. I mean, I'll switch on over. This is a pretty hard point to break, but I feel like a lot of teams have been breaking it. And I think what happened here is New York, instead of trying to play all this time, they just took the risk and said, you know what, let's just get the burger early. I mean, Dante's already there at 40 seconds. But it was good routes from Minnesota. I think this is a really big 35 from them to push this 30.
They would have lost.
They needed this bad. And you can see how they broke it. I mean, New York, they kind of give it up with 40 seconds left. One goes down, it's Paco. But I like the pinch here from Reese. Go on a pinch. You got 2 of your teammates fight in front. I thought that was a good route from him. But then we go to the P3. And New York, all that early rotation that they had, they end up getting broken. And just to show you guys how that happened, I mean, you can see how Minnesota set it up. They sent one guy on a deep pinch, and then the rest of them just slow played security. They were able to work some trades, and then there was only one guy left in Hill. Pretty much comes down to a 1v1.
30-second warning.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat. Make sure I'm not breaking any rules, guys. You know, I don't want to go over 120 seconds, but really good break there for Minnesota. Maybe a little bit of a New York troll there. They definitely seemed a little bit staggered here, like they were kind of pinned in, but I thought Minnesota did a good job here getting some kills. Lamar had a really big 2-piece here, and then Vivid was able to pick up 3 dead, last guy in Hill. Phenomenal.
That's just the mistake that they made by like whenever like Minnesota had to overcommit to the play in Hill. Basically, you said they needed that time. They should have used that time to, like, let's say that guy that got in a burger, he should have used that time to create space and take security.
Like get secure. Okay, you literally took the point. Yeah,
then,
exactly.
They potentially start to like create a flip there where they create a little bit more space. Instead, they get held towards that P1 side, and then Reese just makes a good pinch play. I mean,
you're so fucking smart, Chris.
Yeah, it's just a good play.
To your point about playing Hill, and this is like, I guess, kind of a weird calculus teams have to have. It makes the hill very pinchable when you're 2 rotating the hill and no one's top AC to like go crosser. So a guy just runs down ramp, gets back ramp, like uncalled out. So obviously Burger Hill, you get in that early and you got trophies, like you should hold that most of the time. That risk reward with those 2 hills is gonna be very interesting as long as map is in the rotation. All teams want to play it. You get P3 time.
I'm so curious as to where they're gonna move stuff, because they are moving stuff, and I really hope it's more than just like taking 1 or 2 hills and moving them. I hope they expand the points and things change a lot more than that too.
One more thing, guys, that I want to take a look at is the spawn here. And again, I know there's been some changes to Terminal Hardpoint, but take a look at this. Take a look at the mini map here.
This is the Lin spawn.
This is the back security spawn that we saw. So number 7 goes down. It's Big Wake. But then you see boom, boom. Lin spawns back security, and then so does Kismet. They both get pretty much like a back security spawn. They spawn parallel to each other. Just a little weird there. I don't know.
When
I don't
did
know.
When did number 4 spawn? Can we go back
He was
just a little
first.
bit?
He was
He
first.
spawned
at 3.
first.
Yeah,
Number-
he's
number-
blocking number 4 spawns, so he blocks escalators. The only 2 spawns that are up is either
But
somebody
then
spawns
why is
escalator
number
with
3
him.
spawning security though, Chris? He should be spawning out Esky.
Oh
where
no, I believe I believe you. I know.
You know
It's
what I
just
mean?
More so, number 4 is the reason why that spawn or like one of those spawns gets chained, and then the other one is just for
Yeah, I don't even think Linz's spawn is that weird. I think it's
No.
the other one that's pretty fucking
Yeah, the
weird.
New
guys.
York
Yeah.
player is the weirder one.
the New York
Yeah.
player is the weird one.
It's very weird. I don't know.
Like 6 is literally staring at him.
Like, and I think now those are spawns that pros are just gonna, when they spawn security, right? Like, you're just gonna have to give a little look there. You're gonna have to give a little peek as you're running by and just make sure nobody got that parallel spawn. But just wanted to bring that up and show people how the spawns have changed a little bit, and the pros are actively trying to learn the flukes and the pinches and the weird spawns that are going on. But overall, as a whole, how'd you guys think New York played today? I thought Paco looked great. I'll pull up the stats for you guys. Thought Paco played really good as always. I think today the story was Sib. I thought Sib was unreal today. I thought he was crazy. And I know that he was on the stream the other day. Listen, I think a lot of people were dragging the hand thing. I mean, Dante did come on stream. I don't think he knew he was on stream.
Jesus
Yeah, he had a
I
1.6.
tweeted he was him, but I didn't know he had a 1.6.
I don't think he knew he was on stream.
Listen, I love Dante, but like you were in a channel in this.
Nah,
team
joining
speak
streams are live is crazy.
That it says streams are live. It's not an undercase. Every letter of the stream name is capitalized. Streams are live. Like you have to know.
And then my
that you're
name
joining
is
the
ZooMaa
channel.
Live. And then on top of that, let's be honest, I'm live every day. Like, I'm always live. Like, if I were to TeamSpeak, I'm always live. But I talked to Dante, and his hand's feeling a lot better. It's not like he has like carpal tunnel or tendonitis or anything like that. I think he was just dealing with like a pinched nerve in his neck or something, and it was causing some tingles and shit. I've been there. I don't know if you guys have ever had like pinched nerves and shit like that. But I know I last time I talked to him, he said his hand was doing good, and today he comes out, chops a 1.6, 14,000 damage. That is phenomenal out of Dante. I thought he played
Listen,
great.
Tom, I also want to say that like Dante was like trying to self-diagnose to me and you, and we're like, dude, go see
Yeah.
a doctor.
Yeah,
They're
no,
like,
he did.
he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to treat it. I'm like, go talk to a
Go talk-
doctor, and they'll tell you. how to
Probably
treat
you
it.
gotta find a good doctor too, because some doctors don't take the
Yeah.
gaming stuff too
Hun-
seriously. But
100%. But-
one thing I want to add too is the Bulldog. I know he has a 0.95, but the plays he was making today, bro, Kismet is just. He's got to be one of the most annoying players to play against. And he's got to be so easy to play with and play around because he's just always in the face of people. He's always taking routes. I just feel like he has constant pressure. And yeah, he has a 0.95, but take a look at the damage. He's got the second most damage on the team. Like, he's just being a nuisance and just being the Bulldog, right? That's why I look at him like the Bulldog, because the motherfucker he's an animal. He's a fucking beast. Always running at people and just and being annoying, honestly. I think it does a lot for his team, and I think it opens up a lot of the map, and I think he needs a shout out because he's been playing great, and the stats don't show the plays he's been making and what he's been doing on the map. He's even been running an MCW a little bit and pulling that out at times and getting mixy with that, or maybe he's picking it up. I don't know, but he's been great, man. And then, of course, the rest of the squad, you know what you're gonna get out of Skies and Paco. Like, these guys, they did the world champs from last year. They won 3 events last year. Like, these guys always do what they have to do. I've talked about Skies and how I feel like he's been underrated sometimes. Like, Skies has been great for these guys. He had a 1.10 today. These guys are a good team, man. I think especially if Dante's dropping 1.6s, this team's gonna be scary as fuck to beat, man. This is gonna be a tough team. Ben, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I think the biggest thing for New York right now is their respawn seems solid, but I don't know if their respawn is as good as
They're
say,
mid-pack and respawn.
Optic, Toronto, or FaZe. The thing they are doing really well is search. I think they're like we've talked a lot with this New York franchise about S&D, and that kind of dictates how they play. But man, their S&D has not only been like on point. They don't toss a lot of rounds. They get for a lot of first bloods. They're making their S&D game like very simple, and it seems like. And we talked to Dante, I think, at the end of November, beginning of December, saying that he thought that was their best game mode. It seems like they put a lot of work in from the start to get ahead there. So
They're
definitely take
sneaky
that.
Undefeated. 6-0.
Definitely sneaky undefeated.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, anybody else got anything to say about New York? Chris, Pat, Sam, Pat, what are your thoughts on New York right now? You think they're looking good?
You say simp?
I think he said so.
Sib.
He said
Oh,
so.
I meant to say my bad. I was just tweaking. My bad. Go ahead, Pat. What
I
do you
mean,
think about New
I
York?
think they're great. I think they're like, it's the weird thing, right, with our top 4 teams where it's like you can only compliment them because when we compare them to everybody else, like they just look so good. I want more of these top 4 matchups, right? Like, and that's why I'm excited for Boston as well. Like, I want to see these top 4 teams play against each other more so we can get more of those like reps, especially on LAN, to kind of see where we can actually divide those guys. But yeah, I mean, like any series New York goes up against any other team that's not a top 4 team, like I'm picking them every single time. So
What I really like about our top 4 right now is there's a lot of like map like parity in terms of like what teams like to play. I know that like there's going to be some very interesting map sets when these teams start to play each other, because I feel like every team is almost like good at like one specific map.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some sick games ahead, hopefully.
And
I'll tell you. Go ahead, Tom.
I was just gonna say, well, you go first, because I was gonna move on to Minnesota
I was
Rokkr.
gonna tell you what. Speaking of sick, what makes me sick is watch this Minnesota team play live.
Bravo, Ben.
I mean,
That's
there's just so much to unpack here. First off, Lynn's had a fantastic series today, including in that map 4. Map 3. He's trying to hard carry them to a victory in that high-rise control. But it's really like, Reese has always been kind of an up and down player. Lamar needs to give you a little bit more than what he's been giving you, but the interaction numbers, the damage numbers for Lamar haven't been bad. I think the most disappointing player on this team is Big Wake.
by far. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Big Wake.
I don't know what's going on with Wake, but he's not on this team that dropped 0.8 to 0.7s. Big Wake, I think, is a bottom 5 KD in the league right now.
He's dead last in S&D right now as well.
Which is insane considering the last couple of years. I don't know if you guys.
He's been struggling in search, man. He's struggling.
Can kind of diagnose what's going on there, but go ahead.
I mean, I can diagnose it if you want, really. I mean, like, there's something called a ninja. And as we know, like, when there's dead silence perks in the game, it requires you to have some awareness. And we've been playing some COD in the last couple of years that you didn't really need much awareness. You could just kind of hear where everybody was on the map. And I mean, I think it's a big proponent that's not being talked about enough.
You're saying Wake's a sound whore?
So you're saying he's a sound EQ merchant, Pat? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying he's not that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, he's saying it, bro. Okay. Just fucking say it.
While I do think
I think he lacks a little awareness on the map.
I think that is a part of it for sure. I just think these guys have too many ARs. There's just no like. It feels like all 4 of them are just trying to do something different at the same time. It's just no cohesion at all.
Yeah, not on the same page, no cohesion.
But even beyond like the roles, like, okay, you got roles, but like their search should be better with this squad comp, and they look like the worst.
What?
Second worst SD
do you
team
see?
in the league.
Wait, Sammy, do you see Big Wake as a main AR?
Absolutely. What? For sure.
I always felt like Big Wake had that skill set to like be more
Bro, I
aggressive.
cannot think of a memorable moment that he had a sub in his hands. I can't lie to you. Like the play style of Wake is main AR-esque, and I think that like.
But you don't want to run a sub, right? You don't want to run a sub.
Well, then what is he technically a flex?
Yeah,
is that what you're gonna call him?
Yeah, I always.
So then you should.
I always looked at him as a. I mean, I always looked at him as like a flex that's leads more AR heavy. I mean, kind of like that's. I feel like the second AR always plays differently to the main AR. No.
Yeah, you play a little faster.
Yeah, but when your second AR is slower than your quote main, then it becomes a problem.
And I wasn't disagreeing with you, Sam. I just feel like I always thought Big Wake was that guy that you're looking for, like that guy that's like a perfect.
If I'm going to construct a team with him on it, like I need someone with pace to like counteract him, because like. While I do think he shoots very straight and he's underperforming now, like we're not going to sit here and say that he hasn't been really good at getting kills over the last couple seasons. But like, if I'm building a team with him on it, I don't want his counterpart to be a slower player. Like I need someone to bounce off of him in a way that they can like fly, like Zach or obviously whatever. But just I the way that I view him and playing against him, he is just gives him his main AR. Like that's just the way that he plays.
Yeah. Nah, but any final thoughts before we get Adam Apicella in here? Ben, you could probably start getting him ready. Hit him up, see if he wants to come on. But any final thoughts about the series? About the series overall? We can do quick predictions before Adam gets in here if you guys want.
Nah, we should do predictions at the end.
We'll do it at the end. Yeah, no problem.
I think to finalize my thoughts, New York's got some things to improve before Major 1, but I think they're making good progress. They've got Eves, Toronto, and Boston coming up, so I think there's gonna be some good tests there. Rokkr's in real trouble, but here's the thing for Rokkr is that they've got Carolina, LAG, and Seattle. So if they miraculously turn this around and somehow like those are winnable series, they win 3, like they'll make it in the winners bracket. But I just don't see it right now. I think this team might realistically win 1.
Whichever team loses out of that Minnesota Carolina match, blow it up. Blow it
Damn.
up. Whatever team loses out of that match, blow it up. Get
You
them
wanna
out.
just blow it up?
They're both blowing it up, bro. Let's be real.
Yeah, but mega blow it up. Like immediately stat.
Like
Like,
nuclear
blow
bomb
it
blow it
up.
up, like
like nuke. Yeah. Oh god, we need a fucking
Mega
Oppenheimer that
blow it
shit.
up.
Oppenheimer that. Oh.
am I dragging Adam in here? What am I doing?
Dude, that's
Yeah, drag him in here if he's ready. Yeah, Adam, you there?
good. Holy
Yo.
shit.
Adam app?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go.
What's up, Adam?
up?
What's up, man?
What up?
What's going on, bro? Long time no see. I haven't talked to you in a minute, man.
It's been a while, man. I've been in hibernation.
Yeah, man. How you going? How you been, man? How's the family? How's everything going back at home? What's going on with you?
Everything's real good. Just relaxing, hanging out with the fam. You know, watching what you guys are up to. Can't believe you're still in TeamSpeak in 2024. But
I knew you were gonna say something. I knew you were gonna say something about
where
the
should we
TS,
be,
dude.
Adam? Where should we be?
I'm a boomer, and I had to figure out how to re-download TeamSpeak from 15 years ago and set this shit up.
Bro, we
But
get so much heat for still being in TeamSpeak. Everybody, man. Everybody.
Everybody in this friend group just doesn't want to switch to Discord.
I love
don't get it.
TeamSpeak. I
Wait,
love it.
wait,
I'm
Fucking
so
annoying.
old, and when I was your age playing like World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
in, like,
we knew you used Vent,
2003,
buddy.
wait. I'm living on this take. Mumble was a better TeamSpeak.
Mumble was good.
Humble, dude. I can't believe we
Love
Mumble was
Mumble.
ass,
Mumble was-
man. Mumble was ass.
Nah, it's
You
better than
think so?
TeamSpeak. Yeah.
But man, Ben, why don't you open things up? I know we got some questions for Adam. Adam, you've been very vocal as well on social media with like a lot of this stuff, especially with challengers and stuff like that. But Ben, go ahead. I know you got some questions.
Let's start at the top because we may have some new people, very new to COD, or just maybe casually watch. Don't know who you are, Adam. So why don't you give like the 2-minute spiel on your background, how you got involved in the scene, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. Yeah. I started in 2003. There was 2 guys that started a company called Major League Gaming. I was the first employee there, and worked at MLG from 03 until we were acquired by Activision in 2016. Or no, excuse me. Yeah, 2016. And I was at Activision from 16 to 2019, where I operated CWL after sort of Activision took it in-house, right prior to them buying MLG. And then after I left Activision, I founded Esports Engine, and we ran basically everything on the planet for 3.5 years. And then we just sold the company in February of 2023, and I've sort of been hanging out since. So I've been around a lot of just esports globally, and obviously a lot of that time has been done working on Call of Duty. I think I've seen all of you guys since you were little kids at our events. No offense, but you guys all growed up and doing cool shit like this. Really proud of you guys, and I think it's pretty awesome. You guys went from some of you guys playing or being involved in an administrative side to having careers and doing amazing stuff and being personalities in a space. And I think it's incredible that the pulpit and platform MLG turned out to be not just for content and events, but for you guys to become young men and adults to make a living. It's pretty fucking cool for me as a legacy.
Thanks, Adam. That means a lot, man. Especially coming from you, man. Thank you, Bell.
Incredible.
So I think the big news that came today, and Tom, I put it in the chat, in the Twitch chat, so you can pull it up, is, we've been waiting for a while for some Call of Duty Challengers news. Daniel had been kind of teasing it in the off season, and we were expecting some news. They like to do that Thursday news drop like the day before the league starts, which, whatever, interesting PR strategy. Anyway, there was no Challenger news in that drop, and they were kind of teasing it in December. It never came. Teasing in the beginning of January. Finally, we got it, and it's just January 12th. The first event, Boston, is in about a week and a half. And so we got some Challengers news, and there's some interesting things and some L's, and I want to kind of talk through. I think in the sake of this conversation, we'll talk a little bit about how we got here, but in the sake of, I know shit you always talk about, Adam, like I do want to be a little bit solutions oriented here and talk about kind of how we fix some of this shit. So, we're going to get one cup before, I'm going to kind of summarize this post, and I'm going to ask you a question. We're going to get one cup before the first major. It is going to be next weekend. Interestingly enough, like cup got some pre-made rounds, vetoes, a little bit funky. The points allocation for the first open is going to be a bit of an interesting situation. They will count the cup points, then 10% people's points from last year. So seeding will be a little bit interesting going into this event. There'll be 3 Challengers Elite seasons, which I think we expected because we're already through Major 1 cycle. So there'll be a qualifier at some point. And the Elites are a W for sure. I know everybody here enjoys watching Elite content. But I think the biggest L in all of this is that unfortunately there is currently only going to be 2 challengers open. One will be at Boston in about a week and a half, and the other one that's announced in here will be Toronto at Major 3. So at Major 2 and Major 4 this year, Florida and Carolina respectively does not seem like we're getting any challengers events. So it seems like as far as pro point / champs opportunities for challengers, there's only 3 lands in 6 months this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Adam, my question to you is, because I know you kind of know the costs on this, you kind of know some of sort of where this is coming from. Like, how do you think we got in this point where challengers events became like cost prohibitive and too expensive to run?
Well, let me just like give a few prefaces here. One is the only thing that, again, like I don't know if people were tipped off ahead of time. Is the first time you guys found out about this Boston LAN with this announcement, like, and it's a week and a half before the major?
No, they had Team Pass sales in December.
Yeah, it was a while.
Okay. All right, so I was gonna say I would savage them unmercifully if that was the first time you guys found out about it. But even that short notice. But regardless, like, let me say this, like, I know it's counterintuitive for me as like just like a personal, you know, I don't want to say brand and sound like a douchebag, but you know, it's like from a personal sort of profession standpoint and like my future, like it really behooves me to not say anything here, but I do have to like say that like when everyone's ripping on a CDL and saying, hey, I miss a CWL, Adam, come back. You know, I should sit there and soak it and not say anything. But honestly, if I was there, I would be dealing with the same issues these guys are dealing with. And I just want to say, like, one is there's not morons working on a CDL. There are really good people there working. And I'm going to cover some of the challenges of what's afflicting them. I also say too, the teams and a lot of you guys that are on here have been on rosters. You've been around these GMs and these owners of these teams. They're not coming in like rubbing their hands saying like, how can I fuck over Call of Duty? How can I fuck over these kids? Like they're literally trying to make this a business, right? Like I'll give the NYXL guys as an example. Like those are some of the best people I've ever met. Scott Wilpon does not need to be working on Call of Duty. Like he doesn't.
No, definitely not.
He doesn't need to be working on Call of Duty, and he is, because they give a shit. Like Rowett, Farzam, all these guys, they are some of the best people I've ever met in business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a collection of all these people, whether it's the people at the CDL league side, or the people that are on the teams, and obviously the players. Everyone wants the same thing. The problem is the business model isn't set to have anyone succeed because there's unfortunately, too many mouths to feed. And the minute we separated Call of Duty as a business from the actual Call of Duty as a sports business from Call of Duty from the game business is the minute we set Call of Duty, the esport, up for failure, because there is no synergy between the two. And if you think back to the day when some of you guys competed, and, you know, Pat certainly, Parasite for sure, Zoom, I think this is sort of the twilight of your career. You came in probably in, I think, 14, 15, 13, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with you, Sam. But Pat and Parasite certainly were cutting their teeth at the sort of height of the, hey, we Activision are gonna sell $1 billion worth of copies of Call of Duty in November. That's gonna ride until March, and then we're gonna run DLC, and that's gonna coincide with COD Champs, and the whole thing's gonna be underwritten by the business unit at Activision, and esports is gonna be part of a marketing beat for the business unit, and it's gonna lift all ships. When they separated these things, they put almost these two parties, the sport of Call of Duty and the business of Call of Duty, at odds with each other. Even their MTX isn't the same.
Yeah.
So like they have the business unit at Call of Duty has no aspirations or no like motivation really to make MTX, to make the league make money.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all these people that are involved. You have the business unit, you have the league, you have these team owners, you have the players. Everyone wants the same thing, but unfortunately with how things are set up, it makes it really, really, really hard for people to make this work. So what I speculate is the reason why this stuff came out late isn't because they're inept. It's because they tried till the midnight hour to get these events buckled in, and unfortunately there's no one to write the check because everyone's losing their ass right now because they can't make money on the league.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, there are a lot of smart people trying to figure this out. No one is just mailing it in. So sorry, I know I talked a lot, but just want to give a little background. Like, there's great people working on this shit.
You think on the MTX front, just I know that's a frustration. Tom and I have talked to owners, and it's taken them 5 years to actually make progress in that conversation as far as the divergence and business units and actually getting to a spot where they're now talking to BU direct. But Adam, like you think like maybe the sunsetting of game battles is playing into this, like that having it transition to a different platform and just bad planning on all sides might be leading towards like how late this announcement was because they didn't have the infrastructure in place to track pro points to be able to like actually like run a competitive circuit around tracking that activity.
Look, like I don't think people realize the guts that go into sort of operating and stuff. Ben, you're just touching on it. Like there's so many little nuanced things, whether it's a platform you run and the API you're using to grab points from all the online 2Ks and 5Ks and whatever the tournaments may be, the live events and all the sanctioned tournaments you have that come into the system, the plumbing that's required from an engineering standpoint, that stuff's immense. And when you just shut down game battles, when you just turn off the MLG Pro Points API, when you just sort of go and you wing it, people don't realize the repercussions that happen down. Like it's like decisions get made up here, and they don't realize the sort of operations down below that sort of get gutted. And when you're like, oh, what do you mean we can't do this anymore? Well, you guys killed this. We don't have this anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that wasn't that important. Well, it was. And there's like two engineers that were working on it actually were the lifeblood of making this stuff happen. So I can only speculate because I'm not in the room, and it would be really unfair to people to sort of judge people on decisions made. But when you sunset certain products and you don't have a viable backup, and all the years of engineering debt we paid to get all this stuff in place, it makes it really, really hard to have a comparable product to what we had almost in even 2014, 2015. And that's a shame because it's 2024 and we should be building on the shoulders of what we had in the past, right? Not resetting the wheel.
Can I go off topic, Adam, real quick? Just to answer why did y'all sunset MLGpro.com?
Like the website?
Yeah, the video platform, like when it had everything on that.
So
I know there's 90% of chat won't know what I'm talking about, but
yeah, so when MLG was purchased in 2016, and we were integrated into Activision and then eventually into Blizzard, there was they saw MLG mainly as a viewership platform and less as a competition platform. So the angle was, and this is something that like I'm on record as, and I don't want to be like that, but I'm on record not agreeing with that strategy. I'll just say that. I won't go into depth on it, but I've always thought MLG was the most powerful grassroots brand on the planet for esports, and it should have been leveraged
100%.
like a fucking weapon. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, I was just saying 100%. I was agreeing with you as you kept going.
Yeah, and it's lame that it's not there. It's also just not smart. And at some point, there was just a variety of executive leadership that came in, a few regimes. They made a run at making it a streaming platform, and they never really saw the value in having it be sort of community. MLG was never just a gaming platform. It was community. I know that's like a corny catch-all term, but it really was something where I don't know how many gaming brands you guys are in gaming. Like, there's a very few brands that you're going to go out in public and wear like a gaming brand and not feel like a dork. Like you'll wear FaZe, you'll wear like Thieves. There's stuff you'll wear and you're like, I feel cool. I feel immersed in culture. Like, and like the current I'm not going to get ridiculed for wearing this. MLG was like that, and maybe I'm biased, but people would wear their MLG shit all the time. You change your Xbox Live tag, you change your PSN tag to have MLG in it for a reason.
Yeah.
And
back in the day, that was like how you identified a tryhard, right? Like,
yeah,
it was a cultural thing across the board. And even the craziest thing about MLG for me was like, even the most casual gamers knew what MLG were. Like, even if they didn't watch it or care about competitive whatever,
it's
like
self-explanatory in the name.
Yeah,
too.
they knew
like,
what it was.
You just knew, you just knew what it meant right off the bat.
100%.
Adam, I think a lot of the problem is too. I mean, basically, just to summarize what you're saying, I mean, they just have to spend way too much money to just even be in the league. It's just not adding up. Like, I feel like if they have to spend so much money with the money they're making, like, Adam, is anybody even making any? Like, they got to be making some sort of money. It's just not anywhere close to what they're spending. Correct?
Well, I mean, from the team standpoint, I don't like. I've always felt like, look, there's a variety of players in the variable in the equation that is esports, right? So there's the publisher, which is they own everything. They own all the cards. The NBA does not own basketball. Our publishers own the sport that they sanction. That's like completely different from traditional sports. People need to understand that they can control when the baseball's pitched, and if they don't want the baseball to be pitched, it doesn't get fucking pitched. Period. So you have that. You have what I call TOs, team operator, like tournament operators, which is the MLGs, ESLs, DreamHacks, etc. You have the players and / influencers, which, as the years have gone by, they've gotten more and more and more powerful. And then the fourth entity is teams. And unfortunately, in my opinion, teams are the least not valuable, but least important out of that in that equation. If anything, players are ascending and influencers are ascending to be more important than anything. And right now, the model though that's built is to monetize with the publisher and the teams, and the teams now are also sort of acting as the TO. And for me, like if you just look at the stats that Call of Duty themselves talks about, and maybe they've updated these numbers, but I know for years it was we have 40 million MAUs, 40 million monthly active users, right? That was their stat they always talked about. Maybe it's more now, maybe it's less. I don't know if they publicly disclose, but for years it's 40 million MAUs. And there's what, 12 teams in a CDL, right? There's 4 starters on a team. You have 48 starters in the CDL, 48 out of 40 million players, and we're designing a league. And I just wrote the stat down earlier. I can't even say the number. It's 0.0000012%. That's who we're catering this league to. It should be the fucking inverse. Why are we not creating a league that if you have these city-based franchises and these like that own a zip code or zip codes in plural, why are we creating a system that allows New York to claim New York, Jersey, etc. for all their players in that area? And again, like this is a situation that need to be done on a whiteboard for months to figure this stuff out. But we've designed a system that rewards 48 players out of 40 million, and we're wondering why we aren't bigger. Well, we're wondering why we're not selling more MTX. We're wondering why more people are watching.
Exactly. And the thing is, though, that's different about like esports and traditional sports is like the problem is with esports, the fans are a lot of the times also players. They're people that are invested playing every single day. They're buying microtransactions. They're playing the game. They obviously want to play the game in a competitive fashion, blah, blah, blah. It's not the same as like NBA or like the NFL. Like, yeah, there might be some people that, they like to play in their little leagues or they fuck around and play with their friends, but it's not even the same. Whereas if like with esports, you need to leverage the player base and give them opportunities to get invested, because watching is not enough, right? So yeah, some people come here, they watch the CDL and stuff like that, and they're fans of it. But like the more avenues of ways to get invested into the esport that you give them, the more it's going to grow. The more people are going to want to play the game. The more people are going to buy stuff, et cetera, et cetera. We don't do that. Everything gets closed off with this franchising model, and we give other people that are not a part of that 0.00001% less opportunities to get invested. How ass backwards is it?
Well, the issue is that Call of Duty is one of, if not the only, non-inherently competitive titles. Like when you go play Counter-Strike, you're playing the competitive model. When you go play League of Legends, you're playing the competitive model. When you play Valorant, you're playing the competitive game. If I load up a shipment 24/7 with a shotgun, I'm not playing ranked. I'm playing shipment 24/7 with a shotgun. So the disconnect is never going away. Whether we could sit here and talk about it all we want. The disconnect in Call of Duty from the competitive side to the casual side is immense, and it will never go away.
That's definitely a part of it, but even on the smaller scale, you can see a lot of players, like even some players that were good, right? They're starting to turn away from Call of Duty because they realize the opportunities here are limited and it's a lot more closed off, and it's less about earning an actual spot, earning an actual opportunity, and more about like who you know are making connections. Like Neptune just declined pretty much like competing in Call of Duty again and went back to the Halo stuff because he felt like he could actually just earn his place there, way more than just like having to make all these like bullshit connections. There's even like some lower players that I know that started competing in games like Apex, where I feel like there's more opportunities. I just think regardless of the disconnect from the public match perspective and the competitive perspective, the fact that once again, it's just so hard to like even like come close to making it into like the league or like into that top echelon of players. There's no like set path. And I know people are going to say like the league was built on that whole path to pro aspect, but where the fuck is it?
Yeah, the logo is literally the three levels of the league. Yeah,
it's not there. There's no clear path at all.
Right on.
We want to copy the NBA or the NFL. And NBA is probably the analog they use a lot. But dude, like the NBA spent decades in fucking barns and high school gyms and church gyms before they launched the NBA. Go read the history of it. They built the grassroots. They had infrastructure. We are nomads as an industry. We roll into a town without any home to go to, and we spend millions of dollars to build a venue out to operate for 3 days. Yeah, it's chaos. It's so expensive, and we want to be like the NBA. But here's the crazy shit: the NBA owners and NFL owners came to the CDL and the Overwatch League because their demos were aging out in their leagues, and they're like, this is different. So what did we do? We went and copied a dying model. Like, we have a game that isn't a forever game. Let's just, like, even League of Legends, which is going to be that and Counter-Strike are going to be the oldest games in our system, right? In our ecosystem. Call of Duty has a 1 to 3 year life cycle, depending on the business strategy of the studio and house and what they're trying to do with release cycle. But typically it's a 1 year cycle. Why are we trying to act like this is something that's going to be a 25-year game? It's not. We should be building a model around a year cycle. It really pounce on the excitement for these kids, new kids coming in.
Yeah.
Instead of just having it just copy some analogs that are out there that make no sense for esports.
I just hate the traditional sports to esports thing has always sucked. I hate that people try to draw the comparisons between the two, because you can't operate them under the same umbrella. You can't copy paste the systems. It doesn't work. You don't
have NFL media rights revenue. You don't have these teams owning any would have taken in gate and local marketing and refreshments and all this stuff. But to go full circle before we start talking about solutions, like, think to you of every CDL event that we've had so far. Which event can you think about that is run that is most analogous to like all of the things that we want? I'll tell you what the answer is.
Pro-Am?
Yeah. Raleigh Major won last year.
In a convention center with 3 games and
all different Call of Duty
and open bracket.
Oh, you mean the one event that mirrored the 9-year?
That is correct. The model that was played out by the guy in the call that we have all been harping on. That was the most successful version of Call of Duty that we've ever had.
But at the end of the day, though, all these things you're talking about, though, Ben, is all points to the same thing. The same thing. You go back to 40 million monthly active users. Call of Duty monetizes on mass users, right? And of course, within that percentage of those 40 million mouths, they're going to have some whale users that are going to be their big spenders on MTX. But at the end of the day, they're trying to cast as big a net as possible, have as many people playing their game, spend as much money in game as possible. Why are we taking the funnel down to 48 players and trying to monetize with sponsorship and TV rights? Why aren't we trying to get as many people playing CDL as possible, have them buy microtransactions, have them participating in the league? I don't understand how it behooves the league to have a tiny funnel when we should have millions of players playing in the CDL, because it aligns with the actual business strategy of Call of Duty itself for years. So why are we making the league different?
Not to mention it's even worse now, because like I know there's still 48 players, but like when we look at the influence, let's just say, of those 48 players compared to like what the influence of those 48 players were in the past, it's a fraction of that. Like, no offense to the guys that are still, professionals, but like, I mean, there's a lot of big name people that are no longer a part of that like little small percentage. I feel like it's even more important now to switch off the fact that like the top percentage of people have far less influence than they did in the past.
But that's because a lot of people failed to build their brands and stuff like that, and a lot of people that did are not there. But
I don't even agree with the fully like failed to build their brands. It was way easier to build your brand in the past.
It was a lot easier to stand out.
There was massive growth bubbles in Call of Duty esports for years. It wasn't just one. There was like multiple instances. I still remember, Adam, you probably too. Like when we got, I think it was Black Ops 2 COD Champs was like the real first event this happened, where like every YouTuber, Call of Duty YouTuber, like I don't care if they posted regular like voice comm gameplays of pubs, that like all the big dogs went to COD Champs and BO2 and they were involved. They were in the stands, they were watching, they were tweeting, they were making videos, they were talking about it. That went away entirely. Like we did not capitalize on that. Like we got it, but like there was so many times that could have got capitalized on, and even to this day, I feel like that is just an afterthought. And it's like those are the people that are getting millions and millions of views on just regular Call of Duty that could, just shed the light on this corner of competitive. Like
there's a few reasons for that, for sure.
Never happened.
You're 100% right. It's like back in again when the league, whether it was CWL or pre-CWL, when it was just Activision and MLG doing stuff, it was aligned with the business unit. Like fucking Activision spends, I don't know. I'll make up a number.
Lot.
I mean, if it's right, $100 million in marketing.
Yeah.
$100 million in marketing of the new release. They're getting helicopters and having fake terrorists take press to an island to have them, demo the new game. When you don't have that type of cultural awareness for your esport you're attached to, it's a completely different ballgame. And two, if you think about when you had a business, MLG, running that behooved us for you guys to become stars, look at the 2K and 5K model. We didn't do that just to accrue pro points. Of course, yeah, we made game battles credits off that. It helped our business for sure. And I know there's a lot of bitching about that, but
Good old GV
Fucking
Prime,
credits, man.
listen, how much real competition did you guys have to stream? People
It's every
were
weekend.
streaming
Every
That's every
weekend.
weekend.
constantly.
Adam, I've been ranting about this stuff. What? And
Bro, that
Adam,
was
I've-
Nate Shot's biggest blow up, was streaming those 2K,
Yeah.
5Ks every single
And
weekend.
Adam, I've talked to some people from the league and stuff like that, even and from Activision, from both sides, trying to get even just like weekend tournaments for the pros, right? It can even just be the franchise teams or whoever, just trying to do something just so we have more content and more to watch. That we had a 6-month off season, right? We just had another 3-week break, so just trying to find ways to just have content there for people to watch. There's nothing to watch anymore.
But the
We
issue,
learned a
Tom,
lesson.
is
Us-
oh, wait, let me just get this point
Go
on
ahead.
him, and then you can kind of react to it. Tom and I have had these conversations at Activision. They tell us we'd love to, but the problem is once we start getting CDL teams involved, then it becomes this behemoth of media rights and sponsor obligations, and it becomes too unwieldy. There's not realistic ways to cut through solution based on all of the red tape they've laid out by their franchise
Yeah, but
charter.
that's the problem with the franchising model. Like a lot of this shit that we loved and the viewers loved, and even the players, man. Like Adam was talking about how getting more players involved, giving people way more opportunities to feel like they can actually achieve that dream, because that's the esports thing, right? It's like you can't just monetize a viewer outside of like ads, right? You want to monetize the players. You want to take that player base that Adam was talking about and try to monetize that in a way. But also once like franchising happened and all of those third party like what are they called, companies that or tournament organizers disappeared, that's when a lot of the tournaments and a lot of those events and cups and stuff like that, they all disappeared. That's a big problem with franchising, just how closed off the nature of it is, how Activision basically wants to control every single tournament that's run, and then eventually there's just not enough tournaments because of that factor.
So what I see happening right now with CDL is very similar to what we had with Halo. We and it's on a different scale. Like I will say, like to give props to CDL, the 48 players in that league are making a living, right? I think we can all agree they're making a living now.
Oh yeah.
And that's
Some of them.
Tip your hat to Activision. Like at least even at the bottom, there are people that are making more money than they made back in the day. Like I don't want to act like back in the day was like this grand thing where everyone was eating, because it wasn't like that. I mean, these guys will talk about going to tournaments and playing for $15,000, $25,000. I mean, when you were
winning them all, you were eating at them. You know what I'm saying?
Ah, here we go.
But we were trying to keep the lights on, man, trying to make payroll and continue running these events. But at the end of the day, what we tried to avoid with what we saw with Halo was that no one was creating content. They were coddled. We created all the content for them, and when we did COD, we learned a lot of lessons where we wanted to give a canvas to the players to create content and become stars themselves. If they wanted to go out and hustle and do the work, they're going to blow up. And I feel like that sort of happened. Like all of you guys are a testament to that. Like look at your Twitter following, look at the stream numbers you have, look at a show like this, look what happened to Nate Shot, look what happened to Scumpy. I feel like it wasn't just us that did it, because we had to sort of throw the alley oop, but somebody was able to go grab that and fucking slam it through the hoop and take control of their own destiny. And I don't feel like that there isn't an inspiration or even a canvas to be painted on in today's model to do that. And I think that's a big mistake, that there's no inspiration for the kids to go extra to build their brand, because the league's doing everything and everything's going back to the league. How do you create some reciprocity so the players want to go out and get big themselves and not just say, I'm not going to fuck that. I'm not going to go stream this. Why would I do that? It all goes back to some place that's not me.
So let me ask you this question, Adam, and then we'll like dial into challenger solutions, because I think there's a lot to talk about there. You then feel like we all agree franchise model. Do you think the Halo partnership model, and now obviously Microsoft owns Activision, might be a better way forward for the CDL, where you kind of take the CWL model, you take the franchise model, and you kind of make sort of a hybrid like what Halo's doing?
Like I have a lot of gripes about the Halo system as well. And there's things that I don't think work there. And I think it'd be very dangerous for me to sort of wax on about tournament schema that should be instituted without sort of like real thought, because that is a dangerous conversation to offer solutions without really giving it thought. Because I will say, Daniel Say and all these guys that are working on the comp op side over there, it is a very complicated thing to get right. and it's very dangerous to just speculate without really going in down the rabbit hole of it. But I will say one of the things that I do think is important, and I do think it needs to be solved, is it's going to be very hard to take that funnel from 48 to tapping into the whatever percentage of those 40 million mouths are playing Call of Duty that are interested in esports. To Octane's point, that is a different game type than what the majority of people are playing, but there is, I would say, a few million people playing esports. You have to open relegation. You have to do something. And you have to figure out a way to protect these franchise purchasers, but you can't have it be a completely closed system and have this be a successful league. It's just
Like
I
a
don't think
pro-am?
it work.
I mean, there are different ways, right? You go back to, like what Halo does, where you got ways that people qualify in. You do promotion relegation. Like there are a lot of ways in which, you get that kind of great storybook story of, a team qualifies in, they start being pros, they make a name for themselves. Like it's just not possible in the system now because, 12 teams, 12 pros, and the only time they get to play is pro-ams, and we don't have any of those this year.
Can I ask one question before we go to the challengers thing?
Yeah.
I think the general sentiment, this is more of a question for you, Adam. The general sentiment in the Call of Duty community is that franchising kind of ruined things. And you talked earlier about the disconnect between the business side of Call of Duty and the competitive side. And I wonder, from your perspective, do you think that rift started prior to franchising and then franchising kind of exacerbated the problem? Or would you say that problem arose from franchising?
I mean, I left Activision because of franchising. I didn't believe in it, and what sucks is we would have killed to have 12 amazing organizations involved in Call of Duty, and the brains that, like I talked about, the subliners. I use that as an example. Like having people like that involved in Call of Duty, like I would have killed to have people like that involved.
Yeah.
And I just don't think we had to press the nuclear option to get people like that involved by doing this, by rolling out the system that we did. Everything that's happened, like I hate to be a dick, but I predicted all of it. And it's not to
You were
rip
just
on the
early,
people that are
never
there.
wrong.
Patrick Price punch right there.
They're dealing with the people that are there are dealing with a vision that just wasn't going to work. And I think it was because of it is that we skipped a lot of steps. Like I said, the NBA was in church basements and barns for decades. We wanted a fucking NBA tomorrow. It's just not going to happen that way.
Yeah.
They wanted like 35 arena shows a year.
Bro, wait,
They want us to travel internationally 17 times a year.
Yeah, I was
think
supposed to go to
I was
Paris
flying
and
to
London
Paris
like
to fly
I was
5
going to go
times.
play in Guangdong, China.
I think,
Like,
That's insane.
I think Adam was still a part of the league. You said he was in 2019, right? Whenever they announced that schedule. Adam, do you remember that schedule for the 2019 like CDL?
There wasn't a 2019 CDL.
Well, you know
but
what I mean, like
You're
pre-COVID.
talking about the pre-COVID like World
The
Tour
pre-COVID
schedule
World
before
Tour
COVID.
schedule.
That was announced in January,
Yeah.
of 2020.
Jesus.
Yeah, I remember it. And, there's, like I said, like, I hate to keep, like, I know you guys probably think I'm just being a cornball or like trying to kiss ass, but
not at all.
No, you're
there are
really wrong.
there are a lot of good people that worked on that. And I promise you, like, and there's a lot of those people are still there.
Mhm.
They tried to make lemonade. They had lemons. Like I will say too, very transparently, when I went to Esports Engine, I was pulled in to help with a lot of that stuff. Even sometimes just asked as a friend to listen or to give some opinions on things. And the amount of sort of borderline tears that these people had to try to make this work, I mean, it was real. There's real passion in to make this work. It's just, unfortunately, you can't make that equation work right now. And I have seen that. I'm very familiar with that calendar, Chris. And I will say COVID did make it very, very hard for Overwatch League and Call of Duty League to work. But even without the sort of virus we all want to blame, I'd still think we'd be in the same place today.
is there?
I mean, I
Can
will
I do,
say
can I do one more follow up, Ben? I'm sorry.
Oh, I just add to Adam because I know Adam may not talk about it, but like I don't give a shit because I was in some of those meetings. Like they were when they pivoted, like there were some economic issues they were trying to figure out on the fly that year, and I've been very curious if they were going to actually solve them if COVID didn't hit. When
Sam,
the league
what were
pivoted online, but go ahead.
What were you gonna say, Sam?
This is another one for Adam. I'm curious, like, more of just your opinion. I don't think you know the concrete answer for this, but because of the, like, we always talk about the layout of the CWL and just free franchising in general being superior. When all of this money and all of the infrastructure came in franchising, do did you think that like it was reluctance to just like view what was happening as a success, or was it like they wanted to just completely reamp it with just all of these new shiny things? Like, did they not see like how Call of Duty was going and progressing over time, and they wanted to skip steps, like you said, or was it like they truly just didn't view what was happening properly prior?
I have to be very careful with this answer because I don't want to offend some
I
people.
don't want to federally set you up here, but like
No.
I'm
I
very
can answer
curious.
this tactfully because it's the truth. And I think the people that it would even be potentially offended would agree with this. I think at the beginning, when folks first came in, and there was a separate team working on CDL, I think folks that came in thought what we were doing was very easy to replicate and very easy to improve. They're like, oh, if we just do this, things are going to get way better. We're going to do this, thing from our traditional sports or whatever industry people came from.
Yeah.
We're going to pump this money. It's going to be easy. I think now they realize what we had built was very special, and that they probably, if they could do it all over again, they probably would have built on the shoulders of, I would say, giants. Not me, I'm saying the MLG, the product, the community we built, all the collective careers of you guys. They would have built on that as opposed to saying, fuck this, napalm it all, build from the ground up. We don't care about any of the history, just build it from the ground, like from scratch. I think no one would disagree that was a mistake. And they really threw away years of sort of this, even a culture, if you think about it, like the culture of, and I know again, COVID happened, but fuck COVID for a second. The culture of going to an event or going to an online event and competing.
Walking into that Anaheim Convention Center, Adam. Oh, fuck.
It's not easy to get tens of thousands of people to compete in a tournament online. It's not easy to get thousands of people to attend your event live. I think people took for granted how much work that took to do that. And again, like, it's not as easy as people thought the journey was going to be. And if they could go back, Sam, I think they'd rescind on all the decisions they made.
I mean, we're talking about pro level stuff. Like, Adam, there's like calendar shit that happened year one that blew my mind when I came inside. That I was like, cool.
Is there any saving it, Adam? Is there any way to save this now? If they could maybe
solution oriented.
Yeah, solutions. Like Adam, I will say I fucking miss you, man. We would love to have you.
I think we all
involved.
miss you, Adam.
You know what I mean? I
think we all do.
We everybody loved you, man. Everybody loved you over there. So
I appreciate you guys saying that, and like I said, it's not bullshit. I'm super proud of you guys. I watch this stuff a lot. I see you guys, your careers progressing. Like Pat, Ubisoft. Sam, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but it seems like you're not homeless, so I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much. But I get by. That's great.
It's I would love to come back. I eventually will. I'm on the bench a little bit right now. I can't go into details on that. But just I do think it's salvageable. I do think the team that's at Activision can salvage this. I think salvage might even be a sort of a dirty word. I don't think it needs salvaged. I think it could be drastically improved.
Right.
But I think what has made it really tough is that when you have 12 team owners that have 12, like again, I would assume that they all have a voice. You have the Call of Duty franchise itself, and you have the league and all their stakeholders. I would say it's probably very fucking hard when you have 25 voices in a room trying to make a decision and some type of democracy to figure this stuff out. It's tough. And I would hope that they could get a line behind a vision that lifts all ships from monetization, because at the end of the day, as dirty as it sounds, they have to make money off this stuff. They have to figure it out. And I do think some drastic change is in order to make this happen, but the vision of CDL itself, to have a league that is the preeminent Call of Duty league, that stuff, that needs to be a torch we all bear. But we have to go back, we have to circle back and figure out how to get some percentage of those 40 million people that play fucking Call of Duty to care about CDL, whether it's from a competition schematic or how we're getting them to watch the games. But the fact that we are ignoring them almost on all fronts outside of just hoping they tune in is a massive mistake.
Agreed. Even just on the main hub, like in game, like the main menu and stuff, they can even put like just stuff in there that people can see to kind of draw more eyes to CDL.
Here's the issue, Tom. If you're a new fan and you go to the Call of Duty website, you're going to find out very clearly that website is not properly well maintained. If you're trying to early and figure out Call of Duty history.
Oh yeah, I was talking more about the main menu though, like in game.
No, but I'm saying it goes at all levels. Like if you're trying to recruit new fans, getting them caught up in education is not a good path to even get there. We did even before we started talking about like MTX having a page in the game, like being on the Battle.net launcher, like all that shit. like the whole package of funneling new people just doesn't exist or isn't well maintained. I do think I want to spend some time, just because I know some people might need to go, about talking about challengers and how do we short-term fix some of this. I know, let's talk solutions. Like, I know an easy solution is, if these teams are struggling to run challengers events, which I think, Adam, you would agree some of that, and I know you talked on Twitter earlier, some of this rising cost will be because of the move from PC, from console after year one, and obviously, just general inflationary costs that happened over the last couple of years with T&E, venue costs, etc. But I would assume at this point, if there are issues struggling running events, that I assume the league has exhausted the ability to really subsidize the challenger costs. Otherwise, they would have done so. Do you think that's like a fair categorization, Adam?
It's also all on the teams. Like, the teams are the ones that are the ones that have the option to run it. I don't think Activision is even like really putting. They might be putting in the prize pool, but outside of it, when it comes to running the event, isn't it all on the teams?
Kinda. It's complicated.
Okay.
There is cost share. So basically, there exists cost share between the teams in a league on certain categories in regards to an event, right?
Okay.
If there are costs that the league needs to incur for their people to go, their equipment, PCs, like all that stuff, like they will obviously cover that. But there's some stuff that's sort of in a weird gray area. And since year one, and you probably agree, Challengers has always been in that weird gray area. And I don't think they've fully ever solved that policy, at least from my POV.
Yeah,
but I know it's sort of a weird area for you to talk about, Adam.
No,
stuff.
One is like, I will say, Ben, I didn't love your tweet today, and I know you sort of you pedaled it back a little bit, but I want to make sure we avoid as a community putting the crosshairs on the teams if they can't host a challengers event. And I'll say, like, there's a variety of reasons why, right? And Ben, I know you didn't mean it that way. It's just that's how Twitter is.
I'm more just trying to rile up,
No, I get it. Twitter's a very clunky one-way communication platform, but I'll say, like, two things. One is, from a monetary standpoint, like, I'll tell you right now, every team that runs challengers loses money right now.
Yeah.
Every team. Like, you could, if you max sold the team passes and you did it as cheap as possible, you lose money. You lose tens of thousands of dollars on it right now.
You'd have to charge like $2,000 a team pass.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If people could share, like, and I don't even know, I'm out of the game right now, but even back in the day, like, you'd have to sell a crazy number, like it's Ben said, a monetary amount for the team passes to even break even. So there's that. And then two, from a space standpoint, it's very, very, very hard to find a space that can seat 2,000 people with a stage and then have an open bracket adjacent. Now, one's going to say, like, oh, MLG did it for years. Well, MLG avoided places like New York City, Boston, etc., all the places that we sold franchises to because of either things like labor regulations or lack of venue availability and just gross cost, right? So we wouldn't go to those cities on purpose. And I would say, you know what? I don't need to go spend $5 million to run an open in New York to get 2,000 people. I'll get those same 2,000, 3,000 people in Columbus, and I'll pay $500,000. Why would I go to New York? And everyone's going to bitch at me that we're not in New York. I'm like, you go pay for it then. And unfortunately, the league has to do that because they have city-based franchises. So I think from a cost standpoint and a venue availability standpoint, they can't – it's almost impossible for them to make challengers work right now. I think that PCs and then going into the PCs, like, we're even just ignoring the elephant in the room that PCs are very expensive to get. So let's just say – let's just say the old school MLG bracket was, let me get a calculator out. We had
16.
We had 40 stations counting.
Wait, you have like a actual plastic button calculator on your desk right now?
The one that we used to use in school and shit.
Like an episode of Pawn Stars where like flips it around. This is my number.
So,
my favorite Adam gimmick was the whiteboard gimmick in meetings, but go ahead.
I said I need a calculator.
Adam wheels in his whiteboard in the conference room. But
we'd have 40 stations counting main stage, counting pool play stations, counting because we'd have 32 stations in open. We'd have 4 pool play stations. We'd have a main stage, and then we'd have swing stations, which meant like, hey, this round isn't ending soon enough. We need to start the next heat. We're gonna have some stations we're gonna rip. So we'd have 40 stations by 8. There's 320 active consoles, right? So you do the math on that.
Probably that times under 10 or 15% in case shit breaks, right?
Well, yeah, and then you have a 10 to 15% sort of attrition rate that it's going to break. Now you have a $300 to $400 console to do that, and a monitor that goes with it, right? We're talking like $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000 PC. right? And this shit, the PCs break so much faster than the consoles. You could drop a console off a fucking cliff and it's still gonna work. And you guys breathe wrong on a PC and it's breaking. So not only from a sort of, we're ignoring the upfront cost of getting the PCs, and everyone's like, oh, it's Activision, get them for free. My ass, you cannot get PCs for free now. I don't care who you are. Halo can't get PCs for free. They're buying them. Yeah. So you get your consoles, right? And you deploy them, or if you have your PCs, same number. We can't even have 40 stations right now in current CDL. We just can't. Not only from a space standpoint, because they don't have the 10,000 square feet required in these venues to run 40 stations, but they can't get enough equipment for PCs. Yeah. And then you layer on the amount of power they draw compared to consoles. So you can't do a 20 amp circuit per station. You got to do a multiple 20 amp circuits per station. So power triples within the open bracket pit. And then you can't just have college kids being your refs. You can't just have 32 refs that are college kids. You got to have people that understand how to go like NASCAR pit crew, figure out people's drivers, figure out what's wrong with the PC, get it to work, shuttle them in and out, get the next one in. You have to have a whole new pay grade and amount of people that are going to work at these stations. The costs literally quintuple plus to run it on PC versus console.
We used to have 256 teams going to like open events back in the day. Now it's like 60, maybe.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, but 60 by, to M's point, it's 60 by design because of the infrastructure. Like if you were running an event in December, I guarantee you could probably get like 100 some odd teams. But to Adam's point, like because of they can't scale the infrastructure enough where you can support that many team passes. You're never obviously going to get 128 teams in May. That's always been a circle thing, right, Adam? Like you get towards the middle of the year, like selling out a full allotment of team passes is going to be tricky. Beginning of the year you can do it. To your point, Adam, like because of infrastructure reasons, IT reasons, cost reasons, it's tough to top end like crazy team pass sales because you physically can't actually run a tournament on time with that amount of teams participating and that number of stations.
100%. I mean, we would run 256 teams on double elimination bracket that then fed into pool play for pros. We would run that in a half a day on Friday, full day on Saturday, or into the evening on Saturday. And Saturday night, you'd be playing you'd be the pool team that came out of open. You go get smashed by Pat or ZooMaa or whoever.
GGA Orange, my Saturday warm-up. My 9 a.m. Saturday warm-up, GGA Orange on Bravo.
But here's what's going to happen. Almost every one of those teams that comes out of open is going to get smashed.
Yeah.
But you're going to find somebody like a Sam that's going to come out of open and be like, this kid's fucking destroys, and he gets picked up off a team. We lost that, right?
Yeah, there's no path anymore.
There's no path. And I will say, too, one of the biggest problems right now with CDL is the game. Everything starts too late. I've been yelling this from the mountaintops for even before CDL. The league should start like 3 weeks after launch. Whatever we have to do to get the pros or whoever access early to get game tests and get the esports settings in. The bell curve of Call of Duty is a real thing. There's real data. 20 years of data that shows the game it peaks out, within the first quarter of the game being released, and it starts to taper off, and by summer it's starting to die, if not earlier, spring. And we should be launching the league and running the at the height of when everyone's interested. Sorry,
well, I will say a big issue with the fact that we don't get players in early, and like this has been a thing for a decade now, is when we go from studio to studio, there's just so much different not only direction, but just like alignment on the importance of this. And it's like, now that I've worked in a studio, like getting pros in on a game early is really just the easiest thing to do. If you like, we
just ask.
Even us, we've had multiple pro player tests on X Defiant under NDA for a year and a half now. It's just the fact that like the disconnect between the developer and what we're like, just the product that we have here in competitive, just esports in general. There's a huge disconnect between the directors at these studios and the level of importance they think they have. And I never understood from an Activision standpoint why they didn't push that needle harder. Like,
I think Adam answered your question earlier in the show on that because of the.
No, just on something simple like organizing a playtest for pro players to be involved.
Because when Call of Duty, and Adam, I don't know if you agree, when Call of Duty became not a straight up marketing exercise and it became this
but this was even before, Ben. I'm talking about even back to like 2010 in
That's
Call
right.
of Duty. Like
Okay.
this has been a thing for 15 years that these studios, and there's a lot of people at all 3 Call of Duty studios that love esports and love the product and are all for it, but they're not in the position that would grant the power and ability to push push these initiatives to happen. And there's a big disconnect at the director level, at the executive level of these studios, and I'm assuming Activision, where it's like it's just not an important thing. And to Adam's point, like I fully agree with you, Adam. Like this is something that could be done before the launch trailer of the game is even out, right? Like you could have
E3 time window.
Yeah, you
During
could have
the life cycle.
you could have
of the
maps,
old game.
rules. You could have done balance patches. Like the crazy thing too is like a lot of these pro players. The funny thing is like how much these studios pay to have these like
QA.
tests on their games. No, not just QA. Like not people that are employed, but like they do a ton of tests, like a ton of NDA tests. Just with random outsized groups of people to test different things.
They're talking like influencer, like
pros,
shit like that.
pros.
Right?
No. Well,
You're talking
that
straight up just play test.
yeah, that influencer, sure, but I'm talking about just like a group of 60 people here that we grab and have play and give feedback, like stuff like that. Like money is paid to do all this stuff. Influencers, of course, but like the fact that we have like this massive bucket of pros and even semi-pros that are so passionate about the game that they would go to Activision for a week for free and give invaluable feedback about every aspect of the game that is so beneficial, not just for the esports side of things, but just for the game's health in general, that like this initiative has never been prioritized with the entire Call of Duty ecosystem for 15 years. That by far has blown my mind the most. Now that I'm on I'm working at Ubisoft on a developer. It's truly insane to me how it just 15 years have gone by and it was never prioritized.
I think it's just like the initiative, right?
Well, what I will say, Pat, is there might start to be a turning point because I think some of the owners in the league have gotten so frustrated on that issue that I think they're going to successfully end around, or well, it may just happen because the Activision Blizzard esports team will get so small. They'll end around and they'll be starting talking directly to the top of the BU.
But we've been at that point. I feel like we've been at that point year after year after year after year for so long that it's like, what's going to change now?
We're cutting out 3 layers of the conversation, though, is what I'm saying.
I'll say this. Like, I'll give you an example, and I'm not going to name names. But like, let me give you first a preface that throughout my entire career, especially like once I started, we probably in the 2011, 2012 range, we stopped being so corporate MLG, and we started going on Reddit. We started being more involved with like communication that happened outside like an official corp statement. MLG used to be pretty stuffy on that regard. And even from then until even today, I still get sort of snide comments from other executive peers, whether it's at the same company I'm at or other sister units or external companies, like talking about my Twitter or talking about me posting on Reddit or whatever. And my thing is like, if you have people that are involved in the thing that you're involved in and they're willing to give you free information. Yeah. We pay agencies tens of thousands of dollars to exit survey people. We beg people to give us whatever the 1 out of 10 score. It's called a promoter score for all these like battery of things of how their experience was. You have people that are on Reddit, that are on Twitter, that are going to give you this shit for free. And you're too arrogant, or you're going to look down your nose to say, like, I'm not going to go read that, or I'm not going to go interact with people. They're trying to give it to you, and you're ignoring them. So that said...
But you go and pay someone who doesn't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, barely fills out those fucking surveys. Barely.
So there was one point, and this is during MLG days, when we had a meeting with somebody at one of the studios and the game was coming out, and they came to one of our events, and it was awesome. I was like, oh, cool. This lead dev and this guy and this other guy are coming to our event, and they want to talk to us because MLG is going to be sanctioning Call of Duty again when the new Call of Duty launches and a new Pro Circuit season launches. Fucking great, they're coming. We want to talk to them, and we're talking through about like getting game battle settings, getting stuff for the league ready, blah 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 blah. And I think John Nelson. So you can timestamp this. This is like before he left for Apex. John used to be the commissioner of MLG for 12. 13 years. But we were talking to this dev about how the shotgun needed to be removed. You know, and the guy looked John dead in the eyes and with like complete venom said, "How dare you tell me to take that fucking shotgun out of the game? I put it there for a reason, and it's gonna stay." That's the type of shit that we dealt with, and I'm not kidding. That shit happened.
Oh my
And we all just
God.
kind of sat there looking at this guy, and it was at the catering table at the back at one of the MLG events, and I'm just like, I mean, that fucking arrogance that you have to deal with, and just like they don't want. There's sometimes
It's a lot
you
of
have
pride in the
folks that
devs.
just don't give a fuck what you're
A
trying
lot
to
of
do.
pride.
There's a lot of pride in it. And I get you put a lot of time into that shotgun, and but it doesn't work for esports settings. I'm sorry, I don't know how to tell you, but the kids are going to exploit it. What do you want to do? The kids are going to break your game using that shotgun. We're trying to take it out. You can deal with it now, or you can read a Reddit thread later. What do you want to do?
No, it's definitely a mess. Last thing I want to ask you, Adam, is like, do you think that Call of Duty going forward, right? We want to try and get more
Bro,
challengers.
Adam's
open
cooking,
activity.
bro.
Do you think
Adam's
now
been
that Xbox
cooking,
has
chat.
acquired Activision, they should seriously consider
He's been cooking.
adding, you know, challengers or moving some of the challengers
Microphone
activity to
activated.
console to reduce costs and make challengers events more affordable to run at all levels?
100%. I mean, I've always thought that it should be on console. I think that PC is just such a barrier to entry. I think the spec war you're going to deal with constantly upgrading, the PC's dying. Even when you need to replace parts, you're not going to be able to really get the same shit you had before. At least you're on an even playing field. The competitive integrity's there. Everyone's on PS5 or
No
Xbox
cheating.
or whatever it is.
No cheating, dude.
No cheating.
Well, Adam,
It's
do you
just,
remember year one of the CDL when we had the problem solve EU? You remember that 1 week escapade?
wait, which part has it been?
First year of CDL, and we had to, because they had a kit of NA challenger shit that was going around, and no one contemplated to figure out they had to source all that equipment in Europe. You remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
situation?
Oh, that was a mess. I mean, but the biggest mess that this is when no one needed MLG anymore. When this 4 months that we weren't involved with CW Outdoor launch, you guys all fucking looked down your nose at the Chronos, but that little stick staved Call of Duty for 4 years. But
It
like,
did.
they went to PS4 or whatever it was, and literally due to the amount of Bluetooth signal traffic in the room, you could not run a controller in the room. If you guys
Wait,
remember
that was
UMG,
the
You know, Adam,
UMG
let
South Carolina
let Sam
champion,
know
baby.
that event was
Hey.
invalid.
UMG South Carolina champion. Remember that?
I didn't play my first match of the entire tournament until Sunday, and I
Sunday.
got there on
That
Thursday.
didn't
Won
even
that
matter
bitch.
when you played. Your controller was doing this on its
Hey,
own.
not
like,
against.
Oh, I
Hey,
know.
mine wasn't
That-
doing that.
But
Joe
that was absurd.
DeLuca went to GameStop and pulled this thing off the shelf that was covered in dust because no one bought it. And we're like, this thing might work to like be able to do a direct connection to the thing. And sure enough, it worked. And then we went through like black market dealers to get like 400 of them. To
Then
be
the
able
pros
to
started
run
stealing them.
open
You guys
Yeah.
got really
Well,
mad.
Adam, I
And-
hope you know,
hold on, hold on,
Crimsix
hold on,
has 600 of them in his
Real quick.
house right now.
How many of you bastards stole one of them? Or at
I
least
still got
I,
one of
I,
mine.
I have
Bro,
some
it's
still. I have
mostly-
some still. I have a couple of them left.
I'm not gonna lie, I
I
got a
probably
couple.
got 2 or 3.
No, by the
Yeah, I
end,
definitely have a couple.
they had poor Clear on like a checklist, like signing them and signing.
You had to
them out,
sign
'cause
them in.
people were-
But
people were
Classic said he
stealing
has
them.
4. Adam, a bunch of mine have the tape over it, so we couldn't change
Mine
the
has
settings.
tape on 'em.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
I
how
stole
you guys
that
wrap
shit.
the tape. You wrapped them with tape, so we couldn't change the settings on them.
Bro,
So
the
these
funny
things
thing.
were-
Sorry,
Go
go ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the funny story about that is you'll still have people that are new to Call of Duty coming into chats and being like, "Yo, is it true that pros used to use Chronuses and
Yeah.
not understanding that we were
They're
using
programmed.
like an esports mode?" Yeah, they were programmed to basically just be like wired, and I think that's just hilarious because that's just a little tidbit of history that unless you were
Yeah.
part of that time, it's just so.
It wasn't even
funny.
that
Well,
long
yeah,
ago. How
imagine-
insane is that?
This guy in a garage basically invented a Chronos, right? And like gets it manufactured in China. He's like, I'm gonna broker this deal with GameStop, and he gets like 100 units over, and all of a sudden it becomes the thing you have to do to play Call of Duty. And we're buying them from fucking China. We're buying off-brand Chronos. We're trying to get all these fucking Chronos to run Call of Duty at the highest level of these $1 million tournaments. It was actually pretty crazy, but that was probably been the biggest fire drill we've ever, I think, had to solve. And that was Merc. I think Merc figured that one out.
Ciao, Joe
Shout out
DeLuca.
Joey D, dude.
Joey D, what an animal. But listen,
You
guys.
know what I just thought about before we end time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Adam, this goes back to the cultural thing, and to this day, I don't think like I even players that are on there come up now, becoming aspiring pros, becoming pros. I still don't think the first time becoming like the official MLG pro back in the day when you got like the stipend to the event, You got the, you guys made the jerseys, like you printed the jerseys for us, those like black silky jerseys with our team logos and names on them, and like you covered all travel and did stuff like that. Like becoming a pro that way, I think blows the path now out of the water. Like, and I think when we look at like, challengers and, whatever that is in the future for the CDL, I feel like we have to get back to that kind of feeling and aspiration where it's like it meant something to become a pro, as where nowadays it's like the only point to become a pro is to just, justify being able to do this to make money, right? Like that's really the only aspiration that people have now. I mean, Chris, a bunch of these challenger players, like becoming pro now is just a justification to keep playing almost.
Yeah.
Like,
the less
that's really
opportunities, the less opportunities they see, the more they're like, well, I got to get a job. I got to go back to school. I got to do this, which some of them are doing those things on the side, and some of them have side jobs. But in general, like it's like, okay, well, either I'm focusing more on that type of stuff, or I'm going to a different esport, which is, I think that's just a terrible, not terrible mindset for them, but it's just a terrible like decision to have these players making, man. The fact that like a lot of them are quitting competitive Call of Duty to play other esports because the infrastructure is just fucking terrible. It sucks, dude, because a lot of them have been playing it for years, and a lot of them probably love it to a degree,
So everyone can answer this question, but Ben, you can't. You probably know this because I've talked about it a lot. Does anybody know what the number one, like on our heat maps on all of our MLG properties, all of our websites? Does anybody know what the number one clicked on thing and sort of the pages that people cared about the most? All of our properties, all of our streaming, Nade Shot stream, ZooMaa stream, anything, 2Ks, whatever.
I know why excluded me from this conversation.
I don't
was like,
know.
why?
Probably buy GB credits with how much it was plastered on the site.
Number one thing by far, like by an order of magnitude, was points checking, because people wanted to know how they fucking ranked against you guys. They, even if they were the 100,000, they had 100,000 points. They wanted to be on the same metric as ZooMaa, as Scumpy, as Sam, as Parasite, as Eggs. They wanted to be on that metric.
Yeah.
There was something intoxicating about seeing yourself go from the 75,000th player to the 50,000th player to the top 5,000, to top 1,000. And you weren't earning a stipend or jersey yet, but there was aspiration there. And I just think even those little things, like I talked about, building the league not from scratch, not napalming it, but building it from something. We lost all those little mechanisms of keeping people involved. And we have to get that back. It can't just be, we're never going to afford to be able to pay out millions of dollars in prize money and $100,000 in salary to everybody. There's got to be little wins along the way. We lost all the little wins. Where are they?
I'm still addicted to that stuff now, even with like any ranking system, even BPL's trying to do something there. If I see the number go up, I'm happy.
The
like,
big number equals dope.
Exactly. So I mean, I can imagine that a lot of players feel
bigger
that way.
Bigger
honest,
numbers.
the
Better.
whole Game Battles news, that one hit, man. I was sad about that.
That was a thing that I don't know if you guys remember having to. Well, you obviously remember having to play the GBs, but the World War II GB integration.
Yeah,
where you just get a match and you just spawned in.
Yeah, that shit was
like
so
that was so much bigger than I think we thought it was. Like in hindsight, that was like a monumental thing for for casual COD. And in the moment, we fucking hated
it. A ton of work must have went into that too.
And like it just disappeared.
That could have been what ranked is now, Sam.
Yeah,
except
100%.
They could have had a way for the GB pro points or like your GB ladder, right? For the ranked, the GB stuff to integrate into the game and just have that leaderboard in there than rather than having to necessarily go check in a GB. They could have done so much more. On top of that, Adam, you were talking about a little bit of a history with the pro point stuff. This is just another thing that was off topic with the franchising, but it really felt like they tried to erase some of the history that MLG and stuff like that built. It took them so long to acknowledge like anything that happened pre-CDL, like Crimsix's history, and they still, whenever like some of those players retired, and they still don't. So I think that's pretty interesting.
I don't think that's done intentionally. The truth bearers that are like the people that carry that standard, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
No one. There's no history book that got passed down through the clan that people would know, like, hey, this is our tribe. This is what like our history is. It's gone. Right.
Speaking of that,
all those people are gone.
Who owns all those footage in those warehouses of all the like the hard drives of all the MLG gameplay that was, because that's what when I asked before, like the MLGpro.com stuff, like it had I mean, it had so much COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, BO1. Like there was so much gameplay. All obviously, of course, all the old Halo and Gears of War and everything else. But like, is there any chance that like that footage resurfaces? Because to my
What's
knowledge,
his fucking screenshots, bro? What am I hearing right now?
what?
What?
Ben, you didn't even know what esports was back then. Stop
Pat-
speaking right now. Mute your mic, Adam.
Pat wants his fucking screenshots,
It
bro.
still exists.
No,
Pat.
dude, there is
Still exists.
history. There is literally history that was taken down, like a ton of history.
No, it's
Let's
true.
It goes back to the fact that, like, Adam's mentioning this, like, there's not a book to pass down. I think, having that footage, because like YouTube only goes back so far. Like, there was a ton of stuff that existed. Like, dude, I couldn't even tell you how much old Halo footage probably exists.
You want to watch yourself sit on Hash Row and count down fucking
Dude,
sad
I want
man.
to watch old Halo stuff. I know you got, even you, Sam. Everyone on this call, maybe
Yeah.
except Chris, was too young. But dude, there's
I
so
remember
much
watching
that you guys
Astro Black
just don't
Ops
even
1,
know,
man.
dude.
Bro, I still.
No, I'm talking
to
about
this
before, bro. I'm
day-
talking like 06, like Halo 06, 04, 05. Like,
way
dude,
back.
there is so much shit.
I don't play Halo, but I still to this day watch the Halo majors. I used to watch them all the time.
Halo
back
used
in
to
the
be on
day.
USA Today.
Yeah,
You
there's
on-
a ton
it used
of
to be on
history back
TV.
there,
It was on
bro.
TV,
There's a
bro.
ton of it,
I
man.
mean, the issue is some of that predated YouTube, so it's not archived there. Is it stuck in some storage locker somewhere, lost?
Yeah, Adam, where
Ton.
is it?
That's the whole question I was asking, and
I
that
mean,
you wanted
so
to
there-
interrupt.
I would hope it still exists. There is definitely some semblance of physical hard drives. Where those are, I don't know, but they did exist. And they're also stored online. Whether that data has been torched or it still exists. I mean, I don't know if it was a cost-cutting endeavor where now it's gone. I would hope not. But I would assume that it's still there. I would doubt Activision, after they bought the assets, crushed it all. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Gotcha.
Who knows if they'll ever find an Activision warehouse? All other millions of shit that they got stored in there.
Yo, Adam, I really appreciate you hopping on tonight, man. You're a
Yeah,
real
of
one for
course.
coming on. It's always good to talk to you, man. We haven't talked in a while, so it was awesome to hear from you and have you on the show. And everybody's
nice
loving you,
talking,
man.
Adam.
Yeah, everybody's loving you, man. It's one of our best episodes, man. Was having you on, bro. So
Well, I
thank you so
appreciate
much
it.
for coming on.
Appreciate you having an old man on. I'd love to do it again. And also definitely hope to see you guys at an event this year too. I'm
Yeah.
definitely coming out of hibernation this year and going to come hang out, get ready for what's next. And but like I said, guys, not to repeat it a third time, but I will. Like, super proud of you guys. This is fucking great. Never thought some of you guys, looking at you, Tommy, Chris, and Sam, would ever be able to get a stream working, let alone having a show that's successful. But pretty fucking great.
Oh, you
Yeah,
called me homeless earlier.
I
No,
said,
you say he's glad you're not.
You're not.
Yeah, but like
glad
that's
you
kind of
called
the
me.
same
Yeah,
thing.
that's kind of whack.
All right, well,
Oh, man,
Adam, we
great.
appreciate you, man. We really do. We
We
really
do.
appreciate you, man. I even my mom, man. My mom was really happy for this episode, Adam. She loves you, man. Everybody
Oh, your
loves
mom's
you, Adam.
great.
You know,
Your mom's the best.
but yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for everything, man. Just throughout the years, thank you for everything that you taught us. I don't know if you think that you did, but you taught us a lot, man. You taught me a lot, and I appreciate
Same,
you.
man,
So
same.
thank you.
Except when you call me a detriment. Everything but that.
Pat and I have some stories that we probably can't tell
Bro,
publicly.
I was joking with Sam. I was throwing out,
Wait,
I'm like,
Adam, you've
bro,
never
There's a lot
yelled
of
at me.
stories.
I was talking
We're-
about this
yeah.
earlier. You've never yelled at me, have you?
No.
See?
I was scolded by Adam many
I've
of
probably
times.
scolded everybody in here
Yeah.
but Sam.
I don't
I
know
was
if I
a-
yelled.
I'm
Tommy,
a
if I
good
yelled at you, definitely yelled at Chris, definitely yelled at Pat.
You've yelled at me, but like not like in a bad way. It just kind of like in a trolly way. Never in a bad way. We always had a good relationship, Adam. Nothing. We did good business. You know, what I mean? We did good business.
Oh,
Well,
shit.
I do remember the one time we got robbed and how bad you felt. I remember that. Remember we got, and then I
We
also.
always, why do we
Oh,
always bring
your
this up?
apartment got robbed.
Yes, my apartment
Yeah.
got robbed, and then I remember when the lights were fucked up on the stage with the 4 and 23 shit,
Oh,
and you
Jesus
ran
Christ.
at me, you ran over to
here we
me
go.
and grabbed my phone. I remember that because you knew I was gonna tweet and go rogue, so you came over, you ran over, you grabbed my phone.
CWL London, is that the next one?
You know what I'm saying? And then CDL London, it wasn't Adam who got a mouthful in that one. Who was the other? Who was there again?
Are we gonna name and shit? I don't think do we want
Was it
to.
Martin or Paul?
No.
No,
What was
it
his
wasn't Marco
name?
Paul.
What was his name? He was backstage. But Everybody was
Rami.
Rami.
Shout out Rami, dude.
Yep.
Yo,
Rami.
I yelled at Rami.
Rami. Yes. My dad was
Dude,
so
what's
mad.
funny
I've
is
yelled at
everyone
Rami.
has probably yelled at Rami off like vetoes or something, but Rami would just look at you like, "Are you done?"
Yeah,
Shut
no.
up, bro.
Rami was so
Because Rami was organized.
composed. He was so
Rami
composed.
backstage. He was already telling you we were playing next. Like,
To be
that
fair,
was
Adam
fun.
was very composed as well,
Yeah.
for the most part, unless somebody really pissed him off.
Well,
But
Fuck Rami, wherever he's
Pat and I
at.
got some stories.
Yeah, a few.
Oh, dude.
man,
Hey, guys,
we might need to
the
have
good old
another
days,
episode
man.
for a story time one of these nights, one of these days.
We gotta get Rami on here for an episode. He's probably
Yeah,
got
we do.
crazy
We
stories.
definitely got to get Rami on here. All right, man. Adam, it was a pleasure. Guys, if you're watching at home, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Go to anchor.fm/theflank to check out all the audio sites we're on, and go follow at the Flank on Twitter.
Tommy.
He's doing a phenomenal job. Yes, Adam.
You got enough money, brother. Get off TeamSpeak.
Bro,
Jesus.
come on,
Bro,
man.
it's not
Adam,
up to
come
me and
on,
Tom.
man.
It's not. Listen, it's
I
not up
love
to
it,
me and
man.
Tom. Nah, it's
What,
not
Ben?
up to me and
What?
Tom, bro. It's our friend group.
Yeah, Adam,
Yeah.
if you scroll up and you see everybody in here, this is like our squad. This is like
I explored it. I saw it
it's
all.
the
Doesn't
wood
it-
chippers. You know
Bro,
what I
one
mean?
of
It's
your-
organized in here.
One of your
It's
former
organized.
employees owns his TeamSpeak, and like I've tried to force him to force everybody Discord, and they won't do it. But
Ben,
it's
can you
what
hit
it
a
is.
putt in front of Adam?
Yeah,
This
I
thing
got-
is
I got
up.
a
Are you
putt.
sure? You're not nervous or anything? I don't know.
No, we're good.
Ben did this a lot during work when he worked for me. So I know
Oh, Jesus.
Nah, no
man.
chance.
Jesus.
What putting green do we have at the office? Yeah, no, exactly.
Don't worry about it. Move your chair. Go hit the putt, man. A lot of people
imaginary-
got channel points. You got almost, you got 5 million channel points right now that you're gonna make it. And there's
I think I once tried to convince Adam to buy a golf simulator, and he instantly said no.
well, probably because the one day I walked into work, like I think the last month before you left, and you were laying on the couch in the back office watching soccer with your fucking laptop in your lap. Like, Ben,
Yeah, because I already listen. Just know I was the first one in the office and the last one to leave, so I got my work done. Don't blame me.
Yo,
You know-
Adam, he does that shit at the watch parties. He'll have it on another monitor somewhere, and he'll be on his laptop looking up stats to golf and shit. I'm like, bro, we'll be in the venue.
Yo, he's got the dogs
Adam,
out.
We need to get Adam on here more often just to cook Ben.
Yeah,
down.
nah, honestly.
Adam cooking Ben because Ben can't say
Oh,
shit back.
shit, and he's
That's a
got
good
the
time.
dogs out
He's got
today.
the dogs out,
Adam's
bro.
got some good
Wait,
Ben
Adam,
stories,
rate
but
Ben
Hit
as
your
an
putt, man.
employee. Adam, rate Ben as an employee 1 through 10.
Look, he's got the
Ben was
dogs
an
out.
employee.
Look, he's
Yeah,
got
as an employee.
Ben in the first year of his employment, I'd give him a 9. Ben in the last year of his employment, I'd give him fucking 4.
Oh, he made it. Good job, Ben.
Did he make it?
So he was trying hard in the first year.
We even see it. We even see it.
Nah.
Did you make
He made his
that?
putt. He made his putt. He made his
Of course
putt.
I made the
He
putt.
made
Yeah,
his
you
putt.
made
putt.
it. It
Putts
fell
on this
down the
show,
side
like,
like
what
that.
the
Yeah, you
fuck?
made it. Yeah, you're
Nah,
good.
You've missed plenty of putts.
Yeah, Adam called you a 9, and then he for your first year there, and then he called you a 4.
Ben 4.
Nah, that's cap. I don't agree with that score whatsoever.
Of
Wait,
course
Ben, what do you
don't.
rate Adam as a boss? 1 through 10.
1 through 10.
Ooh.
That's gotta be a 10, bro. Adam's gotta be the best boss ever.
I'm gonna say a 9.5, and I'm taking a half off because the snacks in the office were suspect sometimes.
What? What kind of snacks you have over there?
Bro, the snack quality went down as COVID hit. I'll be honest.
Damn, Adam, you gotta get your snacks up. But listen,
Snack quality went down.
Ben was really good. I will say Ben was really, really good at his job. We were bummed to see him leave, but I will say Ben started getting distracted by you, Tommy. I blame you for his downfall. So
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
no. And then he left me, Adam. We started the flank, and then he left me for you, and then I had to get Pat, and then he left you again.
right because you were on TeamSpeak. You didn't want to fucking.
Oh
They
my
want her
God.
Discord,
Hey,
bro,
hey,
it's
Adam,
fuck-
listen, I
fucking
was
team.
definitely making calls. You know what I mean? I was definitely making some calls. You know me, man. You know me. Come on.
Well, I
But
just borrowed him for a bit, but boys, I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate
you
you,
guys
man.
probably all going out, and yeah, thanks guys, and
Yep.
we'll talk soon. But
Later, Adam.
come back.
Sure.
later,
Bye,
man.
Adam.
It's always
So
good
much,
talking
man.
to
Thank
you, man. Take care, bro.
See you,
Peace
boys.
out, man. All right, Chad, that's going to do it for us as well, man. Take care. Brush your hair. And we'll see you guys in the next one, man. Take it easy. You know
Peace.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, why did Pat post?